Hey everybody, we're live. It's another one. Thanks for checking out my stream, number 21 of this making an OS in the browser, so to speak. Thanks again for checking out my videos. If this is your first one you're seeing, the goal of this project is kind of to make something like an operating system basically in the browser, and I've been working at it now since the start of the year, planning to go until the end of the year and then release something is the current plan. Got a bit of a to-do board behind me there of things to do. We're going to do a couple of them today that I've kind of been working on through the week and trying to figure out, and now we're going to put them in the branch today, get them into the code, so to speak. So yeah, if you've seen my stuff before, you like what I'm doing, you're interested, throw me a like. Please throw me a subscribe if you can, if you want. That you can keep apprised of what's going on, what I'm posting and such, you know. Typically at the moment, I'm mostly just posting these. I do them every week, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. I'm up here in Canada, North America. My name's Dustin, by the way. I'm a software developer. And yeah, this is just kind of my little side project I've been working on. I had a V1 actually of this. That actually didn't do too bad. It got somewhat popular on Reddit and such, you know, which is all that matters, of course, is Reddit. I'm just joking there. But this is V1, just to kind of get you guys a taste. Let me zoom out here to 100%. This is kind of this version I'd gone with, like, oh, I wanted to have a Mac styling for some of the windows and stuff. But you can see the taskbar. I had windows and I had these icons here. Got the DOS in there. But V2, I'm pretty proud of at the moment. This is episode 21. We're going to add more today, but we've already got similar. I've copied the background, but I've taken the icons to be much more accurate to Windows 10. I don't have the start menu yet. That's one of the big things I'm missing. Clock is also more accurate to Windows 10. The file explorer as well is more Windows 10 style now. Gone with the Windows 10 style, and functions as so. This time I have an x86 emulator in here as well. So you can see it here running this Calibri OS. This was popular. I saw this on Hacker News today actually, but I've been using this for a while because it's one of the showcased demos on B86, the place where I'm using this library. But this is an entire OS that boots in just a couple seconds with network support. So it's pretty cool. Sometimes the demos don't work, but when they do, it can be fun. Let me try to go to IRC again here. So this is on my website in an x86 emulator running a 2 megabyte operating system that has networking support. And we're going to run the IRC client, and we're going to try to connect to this Freenode server and see what happens. Connecting. That looks like failure, to be honest. Couldn't look up your host name. Oh, wait, something's happening. Oh no, I think it worked. Cool. So yeah, this is a very bare bones IRC client. So I think I have to even do like /join chat, let's say. And it should bring up, yeah. So there you go. So we're using IRC within this is my website here, hosting this operating system on it. And let's say, oh, that's fun, but okay, now I'm monitoring chat here, let's say. And while we're waiting, let's play some Doom here. Okay, so yeah, we could just play some Doom and do that for a bit, and maybe we'll just let the IRC client run in the background here, and we'll just play Doom full screen for a little bit. It runs pretty good speed too, you know, for the most part. I have a pretty fast computer, to be honest, as well. So, oh, that's one of the bugs that I need to fix, by the way, is restoring from maximize on JS-DOS when it's got this auto resize setting does some wonkiness to the aspect ratio, it looks like here. But in a perfect world, that won't happen. You know, we got a long time to fix these little bugs. It's on the board, I think. Anyways, that's just one demo, and we still got the IRC going here. Nobody said anything. I guess I could say hi. I'll just get flamed. I'm so scared to do anything in IRC now, because the people that are still on there are so hardcore. You say something out of line, they'll just track you down. Oh, I think I actually did say this. I said that first character by mistake, too. Looks like nobody gives a shit anyways. Nobody gives a hoot, sorry. I try not to swear in my streams. I guess I could if I wanted to, but oh, there we go. Someone left. No one messaged. Anyways, that's chat. I think there's a browser in here too, actually. Ooh, that'd be pretty cool. In Chrome, in an OS, running a browser. Clients, FTP, Telnet, VNC. I really thought they had a browser. I'm just not seeing it. Oh, text-based browser. Text-based. Okay, let's try it. So what does google.com look like in text-based? I have a feeling it won't even work. Something's happening. Okay. And while that's loading, like I say, we're still in my OS. I can just move it aside here. You do some other demos. So I got a bit of Webamp working here. Oh, some of the sizing's not working. We're going to fix that today. And also the foreground background we're going to fix today too. You see it stayed in the background here. That's not ideal. But yeah, we got Winamp as well. I can find one of my legally downloaded MP3s here and drag it onto my OS. Let's say this one here. There, so I just dragged it from my OS onto my fake OS from my real OS. And now we have it here. I don't have drag and drop icons yet. I do have pretty decently similar looking icons to Windows. We're going to do a few tweaks today. Actually, another bug, if I open this now, it'll open 2 Winamps. So I'm going to close this one, and then I'm going to double click the icon to open another one, just to not get 2, because it hates that. I also need to fix the ID3 data, because it's supposed to read that, but I think I didn't add that. I had it at one point, but I didn't do it in the stream, because it's still kind of buggy. And there's some way to do it in Winamp. It should read this MP3 and know the ID3 data, that like the metadata inside it. Anyways, I can press click here. And there we go. We get Winamp playing. I think I have it muted. Let me turn the volume down here and I'll unmute it and see if it works. Not particularly. Oh, it doesn't even let me unmute. All right, whatever. Could be related to streaming. But Milk Drop's working. You see I can detach it here, make this bigger here. Oh, Google loaded in the background, by the way. This is the text version of Google. Can I search? It can't do anything. I wonder if I could do it via the search here. What's the search query? Like S equals hello? Is it S? Probably Q for query or something. Anyways, that's futile. What am I doing there? Oh, well, that just didn't work, yeah. But anyways, the Milk Drop stuff's working pretty cool. So yeah, that's running. That's my OS right now as it is. I have a million more things I want to add. The start menu, obviously. Well, one thing we're going to do today that'll be fun, that I didn't do in V1, and I've gotten looking pretty nice, I think, for what we're going to show you in V2 is having context menus. We're going to do it on the file entries first. So basically what it's going to be is now the demo I just showed you, you could right click that MP3 and press delete on it, and then it'll delete it. And the menu is going to look just like as if you were in a Windows menu, basically. I mean, it's going to have less options right now, but visually I'm hoping to kind of capture it. Might be a few pixels off on this one at the moment. I'm not sure. This is just kind of preliminary, but I'm just going to throw a bunch of CSS at you when the time comes, and we'll kind of walk over why I'm doing it and try to make sense of it. By the way, feel free to throw any messages in the chat. It's interactive, and if you're coming in after the fact, feel free to throw in a comment, question, comment, concern, criticism, any other things that start with the letter C. Powered by Blue Red Bull today, although I'm using the purple light because I prefer purple to blue for these Philips Hue lights. Just looks better. Anyways, I think we've kind of gone over the logistics of what's up. It doesn't look like I have a ton of updates today. We're going to see. I keep saying I'm going to have a short episode, and then those are the ones that are the longest sometimes, it feels like. So I'm just going to quickly show you the code too. So this is the branch that I've been working on this week coming up for the stream. I kind of try to figure it out so that when I do these streams, I have something relevant to talk about, and I'm not just making a mess of things and having to revert a bunch of code in the next episode. I mean, I still do a ton of refactoring and reverting all the time, but at least what I've written hopefully is going to be functional. So yeah, we're going to do some simplification to... Maybe I'll just look at... Yeah, so this is the code, and then I'll just show you my little to-do list rather than look at the code here. So this is this is the to-do list as I have it right now. So yeah, for the file entries, we got some tweaks, just a little visual modifications. And then we're gonna do a little tweaking to the context factory too to make it a bit more powerful. We're gonna do some improvements to Webamp like that I was mentioning. And then we're gonna focus on the file context menus. And I've tried to do the file context menus in a sensible way that I can reuse in other places, but I currently am only using it in one place. And like I say, refactoring all the time, so I'll probably even change it from how it looks in the code. Oh, sorry, I got like this Red Bull is kind of you know, you just drink too many bubbles, and I mean, you guys know what happens. So let's get to the coding anyways. Like I said, it's a small list this week, so let's see if that means anything as far as a time point of view. I'm gonna open up another console here, and I've got a little example of the app running right here above. Also shows us the clock so we can keep track of things. It's pretty reasonably synced with my actual real clock, which is part of the code. That's something. That's what I hope to showcase with this OS, is like these little details. Like with my clock, like a lot of websites you go to that have a clock, it's not necessarily synced. It's like as soon as you get there, that's when the second begins. Now I take the time to try to synchronize on the millisecond with what time information I'm given, you know, rather than just be like, oh, I'm opened. Okay, let's start the clock. No way. I want to be synced up so that when you're looking at your clock versus my clock, it's like hard to notice the difference, I guess is the word I'm going for. Let's do NPM updates. NPM outdated. That's the first thing I do. Oh man. I've noticed that depending on the height of my VS Code terminal, the text will be a little blurry. I don't know if it's something that just started with a certain Windows update or what, but like it's almost imperceptible on my stream. Yeah, now it's fixed. But a second ago it was a little blurry, like around the ESLint parts, and I made it just like a tiny bit bigger, and it's something to do with something, but I'm not going to figure it out. So as far as updates, yeah, one good update that's happening. I was on Canary the other day because I was having a build issue, but now they've jumped to 10.2.2, which is an actual real release rather than a Canary build. So I'm happy to jump to that. Pretty much all of these are good. So let's just do it. NPM update, and it's gonna do its update. This is actually a slow command, I find. So maybe in the interim we can explore the code a little bit. Not going to take too long. Just look at my package. This is the most weird way to say that, but this is the package.json file. So we're going to look at the repo package. That maybe is a better way to say it. I'm going to be renaming this soon. I haven't decided to rename the GitHub repo yet. I don't know if it'll change all this stuff. I don't want to mess with it too much, but I do want to update the name in the near future. Soon. It's all open source, MIT license, which is I've heard is a good one, so I'm just hoping that everyone's happy with that license. Got some decent scripts here, nothing too fancy, nothing really. Which of these do I run? I guess I do ESLint and stylint sometimes just to double check, but ideally I'm just not making bugs because my VS Code tells me when I'm breaking rules right away. I like this browser list declaration. I can't be sure next.js or browser list are following any of these, or if it's helping with polyfill information or what. But I like to be explicit with it, so I take the defaults for browser list as long as I support ES6 and it's not IE11. Oh, I was going to double check the TypeScript config. Yeah. So I target ES6 as well, not ES5 anymore. Done with Internet Explorer, so. And I'm using ESNext to write in. So all the fanciness that I want to use there, any kind of modern tech, which is always fun with side projects where you can just program in the most modern version of what you want. Okay, so the app's crashed, probably because my dev environment here got hooped with the update. Sometimes when you update Next.js, I mean, every time you update Next.js, I would recommend restarting any dev instances or any kind of instances you have of Next.js. It's not going to reload on the fly as far as I know. Maybe it could, you know. It's not something they care to do. Okay, so it booted back up still. Still seems fine, which is good. So what else is it missing here? Probably some stuff it didn't get. Yeah, here we go. ESLint plugin import. Okay, so that's how to... I think there was a reason I had this at a lower version. I think it was because I was getting a ton of ESLint errors. Let's check this again. I think right now I have none. I'm going to commit what I have here and say... updated NPM packages. Also going to take a double check here. What did I update? Yeah, Framer, cool, Next.js. Sometimes if like the middle number updates, or especially if the first number updates, like a major release or if there's going to be breaking changes. What is it? Patch, minor, major, I think. Sometimes the minor stuff can be interesting, but if I get Next.js 11, that's when when we will all look at together, perhaps, you know? Okay, updated NPM packages. So ESLint was fine. Let's update this ESLint import rule. at 2.23.3 because I remember I was having a ton of problems with the rules. Maybe they've just changed it too much. I need to go to their website. I don't know if I want to waste a bunch of time with it. Okay, let's rerun ESLint here and see. Yeah, now there's a ton of... Okay, so now I have 255 problems because I updated one package to a minor difference. So there's all these rules I'm breaking now involving import extensions and extraneous. Let's take a quick peek and try to figure this out just for the heck of it, you know? Let's see what we can... Let's solve the mystery together, or at least give it a shot. So what was the thing I updated, first of all? ESLint plugin import. Okay, let's jump to the browser here. ESLint plugin import. We go there, we go to NPM, we open up GitHub so we can see what kind of conversations are going on about the code. We go to issues. Okay, so people are having this issue. Regression, allow to require. Okay, these all look unsolved. What's going on here? Open up a bunch of them. Looks like a ton of people having problems. Here's another one, just slightly worded different from my search. Wait, how is it different from my search? Oh, because I have this import part. If I get rid of this even more, I found 7 people having this problem. So, okay, so it's probably just not worth our time updating, typically, I would say. This is just going to be a circle jerk of clicking links, I think, but let's just take a peek here. Did anybody resolve this? How to detect the actual... Just solve my problem already, jeez. This is people, I'm trying to jokingly pretend like how the people say, you know, like open source community, it's like the people expect the developers to just fix every problem, you know? Like, I know you're just giving your time, but hurry up, god damn it. Regression, yeah, so this is just an unsolved mystery, it looks like. We can use the result, blah, blah, blah. Just call me when it's fixed, I would say. Let's take one peek and see if there's any PRs to like resolve this. I mean, who cares, honestly? Is there a release that's come out that's just not part of NPM? No, that's even older than what I have on NPM. NPM has got something newer than that. Okay, so yeah, it came out a day ago, has not helped my problem. Don't give me your false positives, sir. I only want real positivity. So I'm just going to undo that. That was garbage commit, garbage change. Get back to the root here. So we're still running the instance. We did updates. Let's move on. So file entries. So for this, we're going to have to jump it back into that code because I've made notes of what I want to update, but I don't remember. And the way that I do it, typically, I make a branch every week where I kind of just go through the changes. Yeah, this is a smaller amount, but we can talk about it more and we'll see how long it takes. So that's the Webamp one. I don't want to get to that yet. More Webamp stuff. There's a lot of Webamp stuff that we'll get to. But it's kind of like almost like installing a program where you have to do a little bit of work to get it in there. But in my case, you have to do a lot of work. This is when we're going to do renaming. Here we go. Styled file entry. Right, so let's discuss the first problem. Let's open up this here and see if we can see it with a little bit of zoomage. I think it becomes more obvious if I switch the wallpaper to white. Let's delete the canvas and then switch this to white. So yeah, I don't know if you guys can... Whoa. Oh, I mean, now you can see it cut off in a bunch of different directions. I think ideally that doesn't normally happen. You can see here on the right how the X is cut off of Linux and the P in Webamp, but I think at 100% the problem is different. Let's double check. Oh man, it still looks messed up. What happened here? This is 100%? No, this isn't a... Okay, let's go to 100%. There. I gotta zoom in here. Oh man, it looks terrible. What's going on here? Well, this is worse than I thought, you know? We need to mess with the padding. We need to fix this. Maybe I did actually fix this. Oh yeah, here. So I had like no padding on the sides. Yeah, so basically what's going on, there's a few things going on, honestly. Let's go to this file. I'll try to explain it to you as I try to understand it myself. So I'm using the... What the heck am I using here? WebKit box. I'm using this to do the line clamp, which is a fancy little... Oh, sorry guys, I didn't jump to the code. What a bozo. So here's the file. So here's where the padding is right now. And right now I think I have 2 on the tops and none on the sides. And without any padding, the overflow hidden is cutting off my shadows. But the thing is, I need overflow hidden because I'm using line clamp, and line clamp depends on it. Because line clamp says after a certain amount of lines, let's say the thing is so short that it has to go across 3 lines. Line clamp says only show me 2 lines, or do an ellipsis after 2 lines. Yeah, basically only show me 2 lines, but it allows the overflow by default. So typically it'll be like the second line will be like ... with an ellipsis, and then the third line will also be like ... the fourth line ... It's a weird effect, and that's where you have to do the overflow hidden, and then it cuts off right to the line clamp. But at the same time, it's cutting off my shadows. And I happen to know my shadows are 3 pixels in width or circumference, whatever you want to call it. So I'm essentially just going to add padding to kind of circumvent that, or to like account for it. And another little trick that I believe I had to do, where is this? On the figure here, is I switched the margin bottom to -3 pixels. So basically, when the text is going to push everything out, on the sides it's okay. Wait, why is it okay on the sides? It doesn't push it out. No, the width is already set. The height is allowed to be adjusted. Right. I think the way that I have the file entries, the width will always stay the same. So the padding is perfectly fine there. I'm not explaining it correctly because I'm not sure myself, to be honest. But the reason for the margin bottom -3 is that when you put the padding to 3 down to fix the shadow, it was pushing the box 3 down. But the box and the text were actually already perfectly aligned to match what a Windows icon looks like. And we'll do a quick screenshot comparison. Actually, I got to set up MS Paint in my streaming application, but we'll do that. Okay, so anyways, that was the padding. Long story long. Let me go back to the browser now and check it out again here. So it whoa, things look wonky now. Let me refresh. What did I just do? Because things look way worse. Let me take a peek. Interesting. So okay, I messed this up. It's so funny with CSS. I missed 1 semicolon and things just went awry. Okay. You miss 1 semicolon and everyone loses their mind. Is that like the Joker reference there? Okay, white. There we go. So now you see the shadows are, not cut off at all. That's exactly how I want the text shadows, no cutoff. And you see the box here. I'll show you an example by getting rid of that margin if I can find it. It was on a figure. Here it is here. So I'm gonna hover this so you guys can see. So you see the box there, right? And then if I go to the figure and I get rid of that negative margin, there you see it just moved it down a little bit. And now there's like extra spacing between the text. If you guys see it happening right over there. So I prefer it like that, basically is what I'm saying. And just to show you a match here, so I'm going to reset this to 100%. I'll refresh the page. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that exact music file. I'm not sure if it looks exactly like that on Windows. I mean, obviously that's the goal anyway, so let's double check. What song was that? I don't even know. Away from the Sun. Okay. So what I'm going to do is copy that to my desktop. Oh man. Windows is smarter than my thing is, so it's not working the way I was hoping it would. It actually makes a picture for that music file because I guess there's a photo in the ID3. That's something cool that maybe I can do, is extract the album art from icons if it exists. That'll be nice and slowing of things down. Let me pick another one that doesn't have embedded album art. Ugh, I don't have Webamp as my default viewer. Okay, new example. File Explorer. So what my goal here is to show you guys a comparison of icons, because it's probably not perfect yet, unfortunately. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shortcut called File Explorer on my Windows computer. I'm going to go into Customize and change the icon to look like the actual File Explorer that the icon is based on, which is C Windows Explorer.exe, the first icon. There we go. So I'm going to take a screenshot of that, And now I have to set up in my streaming app a new scene. It's gonna go black here. I'm gonna lose you guys. First thing I'll do is put my video back so you guys don't think I've abandoned you. I'm coming back, guys. 1 second. Here I am. There we go. Sorry I left you there. Okay, we're gonna move me over here. Oh, I got locked into the corner there. I'll make a little spacing. Let's do 20 left, 20 right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right. Close enough. There we go. That looks reasonably balanced. I'll go down a little bit. Okay, I'll lock myself in place here. And now I need to open up MS Paint, the best image tool in the world. Oh, it's extremely bright application. And then I'm going to do a window capture of MS Paint. We'll just call it Paint here. Got to give it a name. Okay, there it is there. Oh, it's over top of me. How dare it? There we go. I'm on top. So I need to make it a little taller and a little shorter so you guys can see everything about it. Yeah, this is stuff I should have done ahead of time, but you never know when you're going to just jump into MS Paint. Close enough. Doesn't have to be perfect. Oh man, it feels laggy, unfortunately. Let's make a new one. New, don't save. Oh, it's too big. I want this canvas to be way tinier so I can see you guys. All right, do I have it on my clipboard still? Nice. Okay, so this was the Windows. This is from my desktop. And then I'm going to take one from my actual fake OS. My real fake OS. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to super zoom in. Enhance, enhance, enhance. Okay, there we go. Now we're talking. So let's take a peek at these puppies. So this is mine on the right. And this is the Windows one on the left from my computer. Already I'm seeing a height difference that I'm not happy about. What is going on with this height difference? Did I adjust for that in the code already? Let's take a peek. Oh, maybe that's the line height thing? Could be. Let's adjust the line height as well, because I'm constantly tweaking it every day, it feels like now. Okay, I'm going to go back to the code and also do this line height just to see if I'm not insane. I mean, I am insane. Doing this won't prove that. Okay. So I did that. I'm going to go to the browser. Presumably it took that line height change. So let's take another screenshot and go back into our friend MS Paint here. Actually, first I'm going to move that away. There we go. Oh, what happened here? Why is it cut off? Oh, because I took a... Wait, why is it cut off? I don't know why that was cut off. Oh, because I was sharing it with you guys. That stupid yellow line is what I'm seeing. Okay, I just made another copy of it. This is the one, so let's see if the height's right. If the height's messed up, I don't know if it's line height or what's going on. Okay, there we go. So it was line height. So there was a few adjustments that I had to do. And I think that line height, I was going to show you guys that one in the next change, because that's really helpful for two-line things. Because at one point I was testing like, okay, well, what does Google Chrome look like? Because I have a shortcut on my computer called Google Chrome, and the height was off, and it was because of that. But I didn't realize it even affected single line items. So let's just add it now. Anyways, back to the changes here. So as you can see, that's pretty decent. Let's move this so you can fully see it. There we go. Now you can fully see both icons. So mine's on the right, the real one's on the left. Let's take a peek at this thing here. There we go. It looks like we got that part pretty good. At least the height piece. This is part of my background. That's not relevant. The text here, yeah, that's lined up nicely. And you can see here I got it going over the shadow. Over the line, sorry. Over the line. I thought I had to fix that the other day, but it seems fixed now. Maybe I broke it the other day, was the real thing. Okay, let's see this from a slightly different angle. Now you on top. There we go. Or on bottom, I guess. Now let's see how well this lines up. Okay, so we're still good there. Nice. Nice. And what about this? Oh, that doesn't seem right. Oh, wait, no, it is. I mean, the font's not perfect, but yeah, that is correct. And this here, yeah, see that? Oh, no, even that's pretty reasonably lined up. But you see how the real one, the R is like a single line, but mine, the R became 2 lines. But I don't know exactly how to fix that. I've tried some stuff involving like better anti-aliasing, and it just doesn't produce this. I mean, that's an issue for another episode. Close enough though, right? That's pretty close. almost, I mean, let's zoom out and see if it's in any way. Yeah, that's 100%. I mean, to me, it's almost imperceptible from that distance. Even just continuing to zoom in. So that's pretty close anyways. I'll leave MS Paint open, but I'm going to jump back into the code. So here's the changes we did. I would just call this file entry text adjustments, I think, and that I think encompasses 2 of these here. So let's just do that. File entry text adjustments. Oh, I got some messages here that I missed because I had a darn folder in my way. Sorry, Garrett Bates. Hi, Garrett. Oh, I only missed you by a few minutes here. Let's read what Garrett had to say. So what's the goal here? Are you doing a full emulator for an architecture, or is it just a GUI to imitate a desktop environment? I say just, but I don't mean disrespect there. That's a feat on its own. I commend you either way. Thanks, much appreciated, sir. Yeah, good question. Good question. What is the goal here? I think the goal is never ending. I mean, some days I kind of imagine looking back at this app 20 years from now at on dustinbrett.com, you know, hopefully still hosting it somehow in some future internet, the quantum internet, and just kind of just keep building on it and see what it becomes. I'm going for more than a GUI, I guess. There's a lot of what I would call logic that really doesn't have much to do with the GUI. I mean, in a way it does, but I'm hoping for some other stuff. Like, here's an idea I had for it. People could drag in a picture or something and right-click the picture, and then they could do a lot of different things with it. Let's say I could use image magic to convert it to a different format, or I could use that like Google's Squish WebAssembly to do some compression algorithms to it. So I have an idea of it as like a toolbox type of thing. I have an idea of it as like just a personal website where people can, I'll have like a folder on my desktop that'll be my travel photos, and I'll have all my blog entries will be like document files that you could load in different ways. But at the same time, it's going to go deeper. Like there's several of those out there where it's like, oh, I get it. He's trying to emulate like Windows or something. Mine's going to be like, my hope for mine is that people just keep trying to like find the wall or find the point where they can't go any further, and having it be difficult to find that, you know, like, but at the same time, not being a kitschy at all, or not being a catch, you know? So I'm not going to add buttons that don't do anything. I'm not going to have like, everything it's going to be functional, or it's not going to be in there for the most part. It's not going to be catchy. And another cool idea for it is showcasing other people's work. I'm going to have eventually a title bar that's going to have help about and going to show each person's contribution to the app and who made it for when it comes to like libraries that I'm using. I'm also going to have some credit stuff. So I have a million ideas for it. Right now, I'm just kind of thinking like, as long as I have this idea of I'm going to release it in the start of 2022, the start of next year, basically 2022. It sounds weird to say it. Having that goal of such a long time from now, and what distance I've made in like a little less than 5 months, that alone gets me excited, because it's like, who's to say what the goal, what the end goal will be? You know, I have several goal posts along the way, or what do you call those? Goal posts? That's not the word for it. Milestones, I guess, let's say. I don't know what you'd call it, to be honest, but I have some ideas anyways. I want it to be one of the best of these kind of websites that you've seen, at least. If not a showcase for many different things, including hopefully clean code, you know? I'm hoping with to finish most of what's on that board in, let's say, 3 months. And then I've got another 5 months or 4 months or something where it's going to be like cleaning it up, refactoring, error management, you know, and any tests, of course. I've been quite lacking in that. I have the infrastructure, but I really don't have very many, to be honest. And I'm kind of just working at a rapid pace right now and just jumping around and having fun with it. But I'm hoping it's all going to come together. And as long as I have this time to like work on it, pretty much every day I work on it, you know, on my, as soon as I get out, not as soon as I get off work, but after I'm done with the family, put the kids to sleep, you know, like 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m., let's say, until, not that I don't work that long on it, you know, an hour and a half, or I'm just doing research, reading, you know, learning stuff about JavaScript and WebAssembly and just what's going on there. But I feel like I'm putting a little bit of work into it every day, and then I do these streams constantly. I mean, we're on the 21st week of the year, and I'm on my 21st stream, so I'm doing them every week, hoping to do it the whole year. So I have a lot of goals, you know. I mean, that just that video goal and the streaming alone, even if this project failed, I don't think it's going to, but if it did, I still would feel like I accomplished something if I could just continue these streams, because I have fun doing these as well. So I hope that answers some of your question there, Garrett. Hopefully I didn't lose you because I took 6 or so minutes to actually read what you said. Maybe you'll come back later. Or feel free to subscribe, you know. Anyways. So where was I? I was just about to commit this, right? File entry text adjustments. Yeah, so I made it a little better, as you guys saw when I zoomed in with MS Paint. And I'm hoping to have that level of detail for essentially every piece. And even the functionality when I can, you know, minimize, maximize actions, the way things work on hover, get into the accessibility and stuff, the tooltips, one step at a time, you know. I mean, I'm not going to waste time emulating something that no one's going to use, hopefully. But as far as getting it visually accurate, I feel like that's important to the illusion, or whatever I want to call it. And also it's like a goal in itself, you know. I think if someone comes on there and I think it'll be interesting to the right kind of people. Other people might think it's a gimmick or not even understand the amount of work that went into it. But for the people that are going to inspect it or going to look at the code or think, or that understand how this kind of stuff could work, I'm hoping that they'll be like, oh man, he did this, he did that, or oh, he did put that together, you know. Like I'm excited to imagine those kind of people, the kind of people that are going to inspect my code, what they're going to think about it, you know. So whenever I think about doing something sloppy or something, I think of those people, I guess. And on that note, let's write some sloppy code. So I just did these two. Right, the next thing, this is a weird one that I think's changed recently. I don't know if I just observed this wrong originally, but let me switch to the browser again. So between the icons here, I right now have like a 1 pixel column gap, a little 1 pixel. And I swear at one point Windows did as well, but I don't know if an update happened and changed. I didn't go back to an old build to see, so I don't know, but it's gone anyways. And you know what? I actually prefer it gone, so I'm gonna get rid of it too. So column gap, you are no more. Is this the right one? This is not the right column gap, so be careful. Also, by the way, you see how sometimes I have theme stuff and sometimes I have pixels embedded? The pixel ones are because I'm lazy, by the way. So at some point there's going to be one stream where I just go over all my styled components and extract all these out into the theme. Because ideally I'm hoping to get everything to the theme, and then that'll be another little piece of my goal, is I'm going to make a light theme, because there's a Windows light and dark. And I'm going to see, I think doing light and dark will be very easy. I think it'll be harder when I try to take a theme file and make like a Windows 98 version or a Windows XP. But I think that'll be an interesting challenge as well. Because let's say when I'm doing a Windows 98 one, the start menu is going to have to be slightly different, because my Windows 10 start menu is going to have like a little navigation bar, and then it's going to have a program list. That's the way I'd like it to be. That's the way I have it on my personal computer. But in Windows 98, there's only the program list. There's no like additional set of buttons on the side. So there's going to have to be some logic along the way to make the theme more general. So I'm not giving it a ton of love right now. I'm just trying to get the visuals correct on this way that I want it to look. Then I'll extract them, then I'll move forward. I've done a little bit of it, but it's hit and miss, you know. When I feel like it, I do it. And this is the wrong column gap. I have column gap for the taskbars as well. This is the right one. So this one was part of the theme, which doesn't need to exist anymore. Get rid of it here, get rid of it everywhere. There we go. So almost imperceptible. Yeah, so you guys probably didn't see it from here, but when I saved, I saw here that these 3 icons just did a little 1 pixel to the little 1 pixel. And now they're moved. Oh, what's this complaining about? Should be project dependencies and not... This just seems wrong. Oh, this is that no extraneous garbage. So this is that ESLint. Oh, I know why. Because the update occurred, and then I've reverted the change, but it's not reverted in node modules. Let's just be extremely drastic here. Oh wait, let's not. Let's just install the correct version again. I was going to remove everything and then just do it again, and I probably would typically, but I think that takes a lot longer, and time is not our friend here. Time is the enemy. So we'll just install the correct version. Hopefully that error will go away, and I might have to close VS Code because sometimes it's cranky. But let's just ignore that and just look at the change we did and just appreciate it. So what was the change here? Yeah, column gap, and column gap, yes. And this is incorrect. That should not be like that. But did it save the right version? Probably not if this is like that. Darn it. So I need to run this command yet again. I should have added save dev, although it already knew because it was already a dev dependency. And I want to do save exact. So I don't want to deviate from this version because it doing that, it probably did the other version there. There we go. So yeah, we got rid of the column gap. Let's commit this change. Remove column gap on file desktop icons. There we go. Let's yeah, that was it, right? 3 file changes? Jeez. That's one of the problems with the theme too. It's like the amount of changes you have to do. It's like I have to change it in the definition. I have to change it in the settings. I have to change it in the styled component. So that is all I had for refactors. That's got to be the smallest list ever. Let's double check that, in fact. Usually I have more refactor stuff. So this we still need in a moment. This I actually decided not to do. At one point I tried getting rid of line clamp, but that just made things worse in a lot of other ways. So line clamp is useful, and it works in most of the browsers that I care about. Well, what was on my list? Well, what's the next thing up here? Allow components in context factory. Yeah, let's do that. That'll be a fun one. So this was easy enough. This was when I was thinking, this is like legwork for when we get onto the context menu thing, which I'm actually going to do right after I do this step here. Basically, I want it so that contexts, if we look at you guys aren't familiar with it, I have my context here, like session, process, and file system. Those are my 3 contexts. And I've done this little context factory maneuver here, where I make like a little general context piece that kind of gives me everything I need. And I've been reusing it in these 3 cases. So it gives me a consumer, a provider, and a use session hook in this case, or a use process hook, or a use file system. And I just want to expand on this to also have the ability that when you use the context factory, you can also pass in a component that you want to be part of the rendering, I guess. And the idea there is that I'm going to have another context for the menus, and when you put items in the context menu, that's when it will appear. And it's always going to essentially be part of the DOM, like kind of floating there, the React DOM. I mean, you'll see the bigger plan in the near future here. So let's just get to the first part here. So I'm going to do, like I said, a bit of copy and pasting along the way, just because it's a little bit easier. So this is complaining again still about this no extraneous garbage, but I bet if I run ESLint, it won't complain about that. Just you watch. Let me open this ESLint. Can I make it stop doing that? Oops. Did it work? Yeah, see, that worked fine. Okay, so let's just close VS Code because it's being stubborn, and we're going to have to reopen it. And OBS is not going to discover it because it rarely does. Let me switch to something wonky and then switch back to... It seems to have trouble sometimes picking up what I want it to change to. There we go. So you see now the error's gone. Magic, right? And I probably lost my dev environment that I had going. So let's start that back up again. Then open up a new terminal. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to add, let's just start with updating the definition right here. So the context factory right now, you pass in your initial context state and your hook. And what I'm going to add here is a context component option. And it's like you see here, it's optional. And it'll be just a React component type. Just like we use React component type in several other places to reference a component. And then we need it here when we're declaring the function. So we'll have a context component. And then as far as using it, simply enough, we're just going to put it right after the children here. And it's going to be conditional on it existing. So we'll just put it in like that. So the context component, if it exists, and render it. I'm not sure I completely ever like this format, this and thing, but it works in this thing. I mean, you could do like this. This is more clear conditionally speaking. I guess you could do that. I kind of question which is better. It's tricky. I almost want to do that. I don't like the and approach. It just doesn't seem syntactically the way you'd read it. In this case, it's like, if this exists, then, like, I know this simplified version of the conditional. Let's try that. Let's just do it like that. I don't know why, but I prefer that. So that was the context factory update. We're actually not going to use it yet, but the way we would use it is just adding it right here. So we could put a component right there now. And then that component would be part of wherever you use it. Like, let's say, where is it here? Here. So here's a bunch of the providers that we use. So that we'll put a menu provider, let's say here, and then everything in here, it'd be like if the menu provider was here, then it'd be like the styled app, and then the menu would be there. I haven't completely decided where we'll put the menu yet. But we need the ability to also add a component to a context. And I think it's a powerful idea anyways. I don't need any more contexts right now, but if I do, it's a cool idea. I was thinking of having one for like the virtual assistant, where he's his own little component that can kind of float around like a service or something. Because we might want other apps to be able to talk to the virtual assistant. That could be a cool idea. Anyways, let's just commit this as is because it's extremely simple. Allow components in context factory. Yeah, I don't even like the way I worded that, but it's gone. I've pressed the button. So now we're going to start getting into the context menu. Now, where to begin? Because I kind of just thought of how to do this on a whim. There's the styled part. There's the item entry. Let's just start at the most basics and get the basic idea out of the way here. So in our context folder, we're going to make another folder called menu. It's going to be our menu context. Inside it, we'll have our index.tsx, and we'll copy this one basically. And where is it here? Process. We're going to change the word process to menu and see what that looks like. Initial menu context state. Yeah, that looks fine. Menu context state. Okay. This is a lowercase m. Use menu context state. I think I like this. Yeah. Okay. So we don't have all these files set up yet. This is wrong here. Maybe it'd just be use menu, I guess. And then here we would pass in our component, which is going to be like the menu, I guess. I don't know what we'll call that. So let's start with that as the basics. And then let's just see what I actually did here, because I probably did it different. Menu/index. Here it is here. Oh, so it gets more complex, obviously. Wait, no, this is the component. Yeah. Here it is. Here's the context. Yeah. So it's pretty much just like that, actually. Let's just copy this. Let's not reinvent the wheel. But that was the basics. It's just another one of those contexts. Yeah, it was very simple. Yeah, almost exactly the same. The only difference is that I've imported menu now, which doesn't exist yet. So there we go. So that's using this context factory with a component. So that'll be put in the tree, kind of. Now, let's see where I was using this provider. I mean, obviously it's in the app. Obviously, right? You guys, I barely know where things are, so I'm being joking when I say that. So let's import this menu provider. It'll go here, alphabetically speaking. And then I put it above the styled app, but I'm not sure why would the menu, you wouldn't need the menu in the metadata, you wouldn't need the menu in the styled app wrapper. You really only need menus within, this component is referring to this index here. I think that's reasonable. You might want menus on the desktop. Okay, so it probably should have been here instead, actually. I like having all the providers in one place, like this. All the providers kind of wrap here, and then in my index, it's just like about the app. The desktop, the file manager, which is the desktop of the icons, the taskbar, and then the app loader that loads the apps. So that's a little more easy to figure out. And then when you're in the app piece, it's like there's your file system, your session, your process, your styled app, and then what's wrapped in your styled app, you got your metadata, your head stuff, and then your component, your main app, and it's wrapped in another menu provider. Wait a minute, where would that put it then? this would be outside the desktop. Is that reasonable? I feel like I'd want it inside the desktop, but I want the desktop to have access to the menu. So let's just leave it here for now and see if that works. My concern is that if the menu is outside of the main HTML element, the desktop, that there might be some like z-index wonkiness, some stacking context issues, but we'll run into that when we run into it. Right, we got rid of column gap. I'm just kind of minimize these as we go and deal with them. We did the updates, I just said. So, right, this is the next piece, which is the hook. That's also part of the context. So all my contexts are like that. Like, let's say the file system here, you got the index and you have a hook, and then you have some complementary files. Same with the session here. You have an index and then you have a hook. The process, you have the index and you have a hook, and then these are just some helper files. So in the menu, we have the index and then we have our hook. You need a hook, kid. All right, so we're gonna put the hook. I'm just gonna copy paste and then I'm gonna go through it because I don't even know what the heck I wrote, guys, honestly. What the heck did I write here? So let's save this and see. So I've defined a type, which I want to be the menu item. So remember, when I talk about context menus, I'm talking about the right-click menu. So as an example, I mean, let's just right-click here. But like, this is a VS Code right-click menu. That's a custom menu that they made. And actually, a lot of them are custom. That's an interesting observation I've made recently. So this right-click menu here, oh, you guys can't even see that one. Darn it. So if I right-click here, you can't even see it. But the one that, when you right-click in Chrome, it's not, as far as I can see, it's not the same one that is visually the same as what you see in Windows. Let me take a Windows one here and take a screenshot and show you guys in MS Paint. Zoom out a bit. There we go. So that's my right-clicking of my desktop. And this is basically what I want to achieve. Let's do a right-clicking of an icon as a better example, because that's what I care about at the moment. So there's me right-clicking an icon, the Google Chrome. So the things we're going to copy today are open, delete, and rename. We're going to copy, and we're going to have this spacer here. We're going to have the visual box, and it's going to happen on the right-click of the file entry elements. And I'm going to try to set it up so that the code will be very simple. So like on the file entry side, it's basically just you say, on this object, I want to use this menu structure, and then you just walk away. And I'm hoping by making it generic like that and having this outer context layer that we can reuse this idea across all the apps and everything. So that's the Visual Basics, not to be confused with Visual Basics, Basic, which was one of the first programming languages I actually learned, you know, other than like QBasic and stuff. So what was the structure I made for one of these? So the menu item is like in line entry. So the line entry will have an action. When you click it, what happens, right? It can have an icon optionally. All of these are optional. I mean, realistically, label shouldn't be optional. Yeah, you need a label, or else what are we doing here? Yeah, so it can have an icon. And in my case, for the open, Windows doesn't actually have an icon for the open menu, but I've decided I'm going to. And I'm going to make the icon useful information. So in other words, when you click on the Calibri desktop icon, you don't necessarily know that that's an operating system. But when you right click it and you see open, it's going to show a little icon of my x86 emulator. So maybe that'll be like a little hint that, oh, this is like an OS emulation thing. So that'll be a little add-on. And then, so the way I've done it here, yeah, label is just the text. Primary is to show whether or not it'll be bold. That's something I've noticed, and if you see in the MS Paint example, how the open is a little more bold, it's like the default action, where if you double click it, this is what will happen. I mean, that's my interpretation of what that means. Anyways, just gonna finish the old RB here. Nice. I think I have some water too, so a little bit, not as much as I should have brought. And then some logic here that I've decided on that I'm not 100% I'll keep is I can, in the menu structure, you can say if it's a separator or not. Oh, that's why I have label as optional, right? When I get better at defining types, I might have a more advanced type where I say like either label or separator has to be defined. Because it's like, I'll let you not put label in, but I'm doing that under the assumption that you've said that this is a separator. If you just put neither of those in, then the app's not going to work properly. And what the hell are you doing in my code in the first place? Period. So, although it's open source, but feel free to fork it and go fork yourself. I'm joking there, by the way, but don't fork it yet. You know, I'm not done. I mean, feel free to, I guess, and then you could always just rebase or pull my upstream changes, but I don't know where this train's gonna stop, you know, so fork at your own risk. And then what's this menu state here? Right, so we're talking about the context again. We're in the context hook. So the state of the hook is going to be, yeah, that's what I've done here. No, this is the state of the menu, not the state of the hook. The state of the hook is a little more complex. And where do I have to define that? Oh, right here, duh. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But the state of what I'm calling the menu is its position and its items, which is just an array of these menu items. Simple enough, right? It's obvious, I would say, almost. I mean, it's like, what do you need to know to show a menu? You need to know what you want in the menu, and you need to know where you want to show it. I mean, you also need to know how you want it to look, but that's another piece that's not in the code here. So the hook return contents is that menu object here, which has the items and the position, the set menu, which only takes the menu state, as you notice here. So it doesn't actually take the position. Oh, wait, no, that is the menu state. Wait, why do I have set menu as menu state? I think that's wrong. Is it? I feel like I'm not using it that way. Oh, no, I am using it that way. What am I talking about? Yeah. So when I update the set menu, obviously I want to change the position. So yeah, what am I talking about? Okay, so this is correct, yeah. So set menu should set the menu state, which is this piece here. And then what's context menu again? This is where you apply it to the hook itself. So for React components, so let's just dive into the other piece of it here. So my components, remember I said I wanted this on the file entries. So here's the file entry component here. So basically how there's an on-click event, there's also another kind of event called the on context menu event, like that. And what I want to do is I want to say on context menu, I'm going to make up my new fancy context menu function, and I'm going to say what I want in there. I want the file entry menu, let's say. So I just want it that's simply how I want it to be. I want there to be this function that I can pass into this event listener of the buttons, of whatever I want to have a context menu. I say, generate my special kind of context menu. Here's the menu options I want. And then if we go into what it takes here, it just takes the menu items to update the menu. And the reason that it only needs the menu items is because this event listener will give me the position of where the click was. So this is like a little trick I like to use called I call it double functions. I think there's another better word for it, like currying or something like that. But it's like my function binds the menu and then passes it as another function to also get the event action, or what happened from the event listener. So here it is. Here's the example. So I get my menu items, and then I return another event that takes in an event, and that's what I'll get from when someone right clicks. And then when I do in the event, I say prevent default first of all. So I say don't show the normal menu, like stop right now with that. I'm gonna make a menu for you, and then I extract the position, which in this case are the page X and the page Y variables. I take those out of the event by doing this destruction assignment, where I say take page X and just call it X, take page Y, we'll just call it Y, and then I just set the menu where I take the items that I got from here plus the X and the Y positions, and I throw those to the context, or I throw those to be set here. Actually, yeah, we're in the context hook. So here's where I'm keeping track of what's in the menu, and that's it. So hopefully I explained that with somewhat of some lucidity. So that means that we need a menu component that will take this position information and will show the items and knows the logic between when to show a separator, what to do with primary, what to do with action, that kind of thing. So let's go on to the next step. We just did that piece. Here we'll do as well. This is something I need for every context that I do, is I have an initial context state so that I can make assumptions about the states of things. basically, if by default, before you have set up your state, if you have like undefined for everything, then you might run into issues if you're expecting a function and you try to run it like a function. So by setting up these defaults, if just in case it somehow hits this, it's not going to go, hey, this isn't a function, don't run it like a function. It is a function, it just doesn't return anything useful, which may in itself cause an error, but it's better than nothing. So we need to make that menu one, which we actually already have said exists here when we made this here. Yeah, we've already claimed to use it in our context factory. So let's create it. Alphabetically, it'd be here. MP. Okay, and this is coming from the hook, which exists now. So that worked good. There we go. So as we saw before, in this case, it's a double function. So you see we got a function that returns another function, empty menu item array, and the set menu that doesn't do anything. This is just the initial defaults before everything kind of comes alive, so to speak. So here's the component. As you can see, the code looks pretty thin. Let us make it. So in our components, under system, make another folder where we make a component called menu, and the index.tsx file for it. And then we'll just paste this in here. So we haven't got to the styled piece of it yet. We haven't gotten to what the item entry will look like. This is just the basic, the next step, so to speak, you know? So right now what we have is on the file entry, where's the file entry? Where the heck's that file entry? Darn it. Here it is. So on a file entry, like a desktop icon, like this, oh, it's crashed right now, so bad example. Yeah, I'm in the middle of breaking it right now. But on a typical desktop icon, my desktop, you right click, and now I have it triggering on context menu. And on context menu has my custom function that takes the menu items. I don't have those two pieces made yet, by the way. And then the custom menu is here, and it sets that here. Now, where does the component come in? I've confused myself. Oh, right, because this is just updating the state, the context. So in my component that I'm making, we're going to use the context. And the component's going to be generated right away because it's wrapped in this menu provider here. So it's going to be like living basically here kind of thing, I think. Yeah, basically. And we'll see that in a moment, but let's make the thing. So this is it here. I just pasted it in. So the menu component, and yeah, here's where it is here. So it uses the menu context to get those items, to get the items that exist, plus the X and the Y positions, which they default to 0. So we know that they're numbers. I'm just assuming zeros here. And we also get the set menu. So when they click off of the menu or they pick a menu item, I want the menu to disappear. And the way I've decided to do that, the way I've decided to control whether it appears or disappears, is whether there's items in the menu. And I feel like that's okay in this case because it's very tangential what's in the menu, the contents of the menu. It really depends where you clicked, you know? So I'm fine that if you blur off or if you click something to make it go away, just wipe what was in the menu, you know? And then the next time someone clicks somewhere, it's going to repopulate the menu and then it'll appear. That's my logic there, rather than trying to keep track of some kind of visibility or something. And that's what I've done here, where you see the menu that I return is if there's items, then we render something. Otherwise, it's just empty. And I've made a reset menu function that basically just clears the menu, set menu to empty. And I've got a menu ref doing the use ref hook so that I can reference the menu that I have. In this case, the styled menu is going to be a nav element, which is an HTML element, HTML nav. I have a few other navs. It's just kind of a semantic way to say this is another piece of navigation. And a thing you can add in there is an organized list, which I have in this case. It's organized because I care about the order. So let's not ignore this hook. Let's just show here. So the use effect hook is that whenever the items change, if there are items, then I want it to focus on the menu. So I want the focus of the browser to go to the menu. And the reason for that is so if someone right clicks, right away they could use the arrows to go up and down, I think. I'm actually not sure that'll work right now, but that's something I'll have to add. I haven't gotten to the full accessibility thing, but I'm adding it piece by piece, you know? So this is referencing the ref that I got here from the menu ref. And to be able to do on blur, you need to have a tab index, and to do focus or blur, you need to have this tab index to set to a -1 in this case. It's just a characteristic of the way things are. So for on blur, clicking away from the menu, and the reason on blur works is because I've focus at the start. So once I've locked focus, now if you click anywhere else, it's going to blur. So that's how I know to reset the menu right away. And then, so yeah, we go through our organized ordered list, we loop through the items, and then for each item, we pass it off to another component that I've made called the menu item entry. And then for the unique key, I use the label, or if it's a separator, I use the separator. And if you guys notice here, when I defined what a separator was, it's actually a number. Now that's a weird hack kind of way to do it, I guess, but I don't know of a way to have a unique key for the separators without keeping track of something else. And I don't want to keep track of any more crap if I don't have to. So if just in my menu, when I do separator, the other idea for it would be to do a Boolean and be like separator true. But if I gotta do separator something, let's do something unique and then use that as the key, you know? That's my mentality on it. Now there is a concern that label could be a number, like separator, but I'm hoping no one will have a right-click menu where one of the options is like 7. Like, actually, totally they could now that I think about it. Well, when someone's doing that, they're going to have to make that consideration about how the separator works, or they're going to see wonkiness. So that's for someone else's future Dustin's problem, probably. Now I pass reset menu because I want when the action executes to reset the menu. And I don't really have any other sensible way right now from within an item to control that. There's probably some other way I could have done it, but I'm happy with this. I'm just passing down one function. And I'm basically just saying that each item has the ability to reset the menu that it's within, to clear its menu and kind of get rid of itself. Presumably if you click it. Okay, so that's that piece of the puzzle. What's next? So the styled part is big. I don't want to get into that just yet. Let's do that menu item entry piece too. So this is the actual specific entry. This is like this piece here. When you take an item that is the data that's within this, what do we do with it? Menu item entry.tsx. Is that what it was called? I actually don't even know what it was called. Menu item entry. Yeah, that is what it was called. Nice. Okay, so what have I done here? So I've taken in the menu item, right, from the use context to hook as a type. And I've got an icon here. Okay, yeah, because I'm going to be displaying an icon possibly. So the first thing is I've defined the type of props that the menu item can take. So it can take everything that's defined in a menu item, which is defining that hook here. Go to it. Yeah, anything here in the menu item, plus including, or also, I should say, a reset menu function. That's the things that menu item entry can take. As you can see here, I need all of them. And then so the HTML that it generates is a list item. Because as you remember before, it's man, I got a bunch of stuff open here. Right, so here it's in an ordered list. So the ordered list needs to be filled with list items. So in the list items, if it's a separator, then right away I just show the HR line. That's what I'm using for my line. Very simple. But if it's not a separator, then we'll use a figure like we use in a lot of other places to represent one of these little nuggets of information. So if you click the figure, then it's going to execute the action that we made, and it's going to reset the menu. Like, let's say you click open, it's going to open the thing, and it's going to get rid of the menu. And now when it comes to rendering what's inside the menu item, if you passed in an icon, then it's going to render the icon as 16 by 16. And we have 16 by 16 icons. We use them in other places. and it's going to load the text, the fig caption piece here. And as you see here, we have class name. So if it's primary, it's going to do that primary class. So it'll get that bolded color. And then we just put the label in here, like so. And for the icon, the alt is also the label. And that's all there is to the menu item. Pretty simple as well. And what next? So this is getting to the rename delete. We're not there yet. That's more rename delete stuff. What is this here? What did I do here? Oh, right. This is tricky. So, the page is too broken right now to deal with that. Sorry guys, I was in the browser for a sec trying to find other examples of code to change for this little menu item piece, and I ran upon this. I think I did this, but I'm not sure about that right now. That's a minor change that we'll discuss later. I'll leave this file open. Use file. What the hell is use file? I think this is when we get into some of the complexities of some other stuff I've done. Mostly this is around delete and rename right now. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to get into that at some point. What is this? This is the file entry. Oh, I changed a lot in the file entry. Okay, let's see what I changed here. So I added the on context menu. All right, this is a tricky piece. We'll get to this in another moment. That's when we get to the rename piece. Let me make a note of that. So for rename, on key up to catch double space. So there's some trickiness that we'll discuss around that when we get to it, because that's weird. So we need, where's the menu here? Ah, yes, I've just called it menu. And I have a use context menu hook. Man, it's a good thing I left a lot of time for this because this part is confusing as heck. Oh, here's where I cut out a piece that I had in that other hook. Oh, that's this use file thing. Oh, for when I want to open a file, right? Because I'm reusing open file now. Now I want the file entry part to be able to open it, but also the context menu I want to have to be able to utilize that hook. But we're not there yet. I keep jumping ahead. This is the rename part. No, now we're at Webamp. Okay. How far are we here? Use context menu. Let's say this is the next thing. I don't know what this is. Let's take a look at this. Where is this supposed to live? Oh, in the file entry. Oh, okay. So this was my idea for the context menus, that there might be several of these hooks. So for every component where I want to use a context, I'm going to make one of these hooks. That's called the use context menu hook. I might make it more descriptive at some point. And what am I pasting in here? The code. So here's my dream for the context menu for the file entries. We are going to use that icon. Ah, yes. So this is the menu entry itself. Before we get to this, let's use it before we need it. Just to jump ahead a bunch. So it's actually here where it's happening, I think. It's like a hook that I make here that returns a menu. Oops. What I got there? Yeah. So the menu is what goes here. So that's the wording. That's a little easier. On context menu, menu. Just pass in the menu. But this piece is going to need more. I'm just going to see where, because I added it in a couple places. Couple hundred places. Oh, man. Where to begin with this one? It's like I didn't name it that. What happened here? Here we go. Oh, I just called it menu. Okay. It doesn't need to be part of this, honestly. Let's just copy what I wrote here, because this is getting out of hand. I don't know how to bridge the gap here, so let's just add it piece by piece. So this is what I had for what I want the menu to be. So to make a good menu, I'm going to need the URL, I'm going to need the process ID, I'm going to need the ability to delete an entry and to rename an entry. I'm wondering if we should do delete and rename at the same time. Let's not. Let's just have open. Let's just start with open, and then we'll add delete and rename. Because that delete and rename adds a lot to it. So if that's the case, I need to have open. So I'm going to make a hook, and I'm going to move a lot of this logic here. Right, and we need that context menu function here. That's this piece here. So you remember use menu also has context menu. We got to import that. We haven't made use file yet. We do have this, I think. No, we don't have that yet. Okay, so for this piece, I'm going to take this entire chunk here, actually, I think becomes use file. So let's make a new one here called, actually, let's not take that. Let's put that back. And then now I'll rename this use file.ts. It's confusing because I have a use files hook too, so I've obviously confused myself more than anyone, which means I'm succeeding or failing. I don't know. If you can confuse one person a day, you've done your job. All right, where is usefile.ts? I'm just going to copy over what I have for usefile, and we're going to see how verbatim it is to the other one. Right, so let's take this piece that I said I wanted to take right there and see if that matches what I just thiefed from here. That line, yep. This line, yep. Yep, the entire thing here, everything's a match. So yeah, it was just a matter of copying all of that. And I want to separate this out because it's just about opening the file here for now. I think, yeah, why is it just about that? This might be overkill the way I have it. I might do more things with this later, but it looks like overkill. I could just call this open file. Because I need the session, I need the process, and then the callback does some logic here, where if it already exists and it's minimized, unminimize it, and just focus it versus opening it. I don't think this needs to be like this. Let's just return open file directly, like that. In fact, at this point, could I just do this then? No, I don't want to do that. I don't like, yeah, let's do it like this, and we'll just change this to be like that. Like so. There we go. So yeah, that works. So they'll just return a function called open file that takes no parameters or no arguments and just opens the file. I'm not a super huge fan of that, but we need a way to reuse this logic for now. So that's how I'm doing it. That's the magic of hooks. So this will go like that. And then where was I using open file? Oh, yeah, as far as what the code was, yeah. So it was nothing. It was just this copy there and then defining the type. That was just the most basic hook. And now I don't need a bunch of this stuff. So I made this file smaller, which is nice. And I just have to go back to it to figure out what other parameters I needed. Because I think we got a good chunk of them. I'm not going to do delete and rename yet. I mean, I'm going to do them this episode. But if we start doing them now, it's probably just going to add confusion, which is not good. Okay, so we got that. What happened here with onClick? Oh, right, onClick becomes open file, I guess. Yeah, okay. Oh, I haven't done use context menu still. I thought I had. I think I have. Yeah, it's right here. It's having trouble importing it, though. Use file, that should exist now, too. Why is it being silly? Let's try it again here. There we go, now it sees it. So, right, this became like that. This became open file. So what was use context menu now? We said we're not going to do this piece yet. So we're not going to have a delete and a rename buttons. So the way I set up the code is that I was going to have delete and rename by default and only have open if there's a process ID. We're going to get rid of rename and delete for now. We'll have to keep this like this though. It's just going to be an empty array to start. So yeah, we got the open file command. So here's the trick for the icon. So I don't pass the icon. I get it from the process directory. So if you give me the process, is that going to work? Yeah, that'll work. I think that will work in most cases because the process won't yet have been created. So it's not going to have any wonkiness to its name. It's just going to be the pure name. Like, for example, File Explorer, let's say. So I get the icon from there, and I'm using that for the picture rather than the icon of what you right-clicked. I'm using the icon of the thing that it'll open in. So in this case, you see here's a menu item where I've done the icon, the label is open, it's primary, yes, and the action is to open the file. And then I have a separator here because before I had the deletes and stuff in there. I had delete and rename, and then if there was a process, it would put open above and it would add a separator. But we're not going to do the separator yet either. There we go. So this is all our context menu is right now. Oh, that in fact makes it empty if there is no PID. Let's just make this push for now instead of unshift. What we'll do too is we're going to do this. We're going to, for now, we'll have a little else clause, sorry, because I don't know how to handle empty. Empty, it's not going to show anything. We don't want that because that'll be weird. Just put empty. Or I'll put can't open. Oops. No, I'll put empty. All right. Now this logic's going to change once we have delete and rename, but we're not quite there yet. Oh, I think I might have closed something. No, don't worry about that. So we're going to look at the code again to see if there's any other pieces I'm missing. I don't think so. Because we haven't got to delete and rename yet, so we don't have to worry about that. What other pieces could there be? We're going to keep this open because we need to look at that code. Same with this. No, this is already done. That had nothing to do with delete or rename. That we'll get to. Actually, we'll get to this. We'll get to that. That hasn't been done yet. I just want to make sure before I do the reveal. All right, we don't have any of the styling. So that's a big one. So the styled menu. This one's going to be tough to explain because I don't know myself. Styled menu. What the heck was it called? Entry? .tsx? No. So much of that is wrong. Styled menu. That's what it should be. I could do a styled menu entry as well if I wanted to split this up. Probably, I could think about it at one point. So anyways, I'm just going to dump in what I had to start. It's actually not so bad. Oh, it ruined all my new lines. Thank you. There should have been a new line here. I mean, I say should have, like it's the law or something. Prettier didn't fix it, so who's to say? But this is the way I like to do it. In my house, we do new lines occasionally where I think it makes sense. Okay, so what have I done here? Use file is not defined. Before I explain the visuals, I'd like to get it working now so that we can visually see what I've done. Let's finish our imports here then that we missed. Right, so it's going to do its usual fail of an import because it does a really bad job. There we go. Fixed that. Reorganize. Import this one like so. Again, it does the same incorrectness. Bad import. Okay, we got those. Oh, so it built. So let's try it. So let's right click on the File Explorer, and if it works, we should see open along with an icon of File Explorer. There we go. And look at that. Does that not look a little bit like a Windows one? Now we're going to get into how the visuals are right now. But let's try another one. See, watch, when I right click this one, you see now that's the icon for V86, which is my x86 emulator. And so let's right click and I click it. There we go. And if I right click and I click away, you see it blurs away. And it's working. You see that one runs in JS-DOS. This is in V86, that's in V86, and this is in Winamp. And you saw when I clicked it, it actually went to it. And you see it's using the right logic. So if it's no longer in the foreground, I right click and open, that brings it back to the foreground. I close it and then I open it, it opens it back up again. So we have our first little basic context menu. Now we're going to add delete and rename, like I said. Oh, I wanted to explain the visuals before we get into delete and rename. So let's get into what I did here. So I'm going to here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to disable blur for a second, the blur thing. Where was that? Here it is. Reset menu. I'm going to say reset menu doesn't do anything. It just returns some gibberish. And now why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Because I want to show you guys the menu. So I right click it. There we go. It's there. And now it's not going to blur away. Let's zoom in a bit. There we go. Let me move it over here. So you see there. So that's what the menu looks like. So I'll tell you some observations that I noticed with the Windows menu after doing my MS Paintage on it. And that's what I've copied here. So you see at the top, we have a little more border at the top and the bottom of the menus. So if there were more items right now, they're all spaced pretty much the same and it's pretty close together. But at the very top and the very bottom, there's a little more space. So I've done that there if you guys see. You see how when I'm highlighted over, you can see how there's more space in the top and bottom than there is in the left and right. The left and right is just 1 pixel. The border is just 1 pixel. There's a little bit of a shadow, very subtle shadow. The colors here for highlighting and everything are correct. The bolding and the font weight is for the most part correct. It's not perfect, I don't think, the font weight. But that's the basics of how I've done it. And now let's just look at how I declared it. So yeah, background color. I just picked the color right out of MS Paint. Just that. All I did is right click in Windows Desktop, take a screenshot, zoom in on that, and then just figure out the colors. Like you have the little color picker tool and it tells you. So, and there's no opacity in this case. So my background color I set the border 1 pixel solid, just like how I saw it. The box shadow I messed with a little bit, and this is kind of what I settled on, is like this 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 20% lightness, 70% opacity, and then the same thing, 2 to 2 pixels with 10% versus 20. Don't ask me to explain that, but how do you explain a text shadow, you know? It's like explaining a color. This is just, it looked good to me, you know? It looked close to what the Windows one looked like. The text is just white. The size is 12 for the font. For the height and the width I've done with this fit content, I've started using that more. I like it, you know? It does a very good sizing the way I want and squishing things in, and it seems to be browser compatible, so I'm using fit content more lately. Tell me if I'm wrong to use it, but for now I'm happy with it. I haven't done a lot of cross-browser testing. I'm gonna in the future. It's definitely gonna run in all the browsers that I expect it to, but currently I've only really done work on Chrome. The padding I told you guys about. At the top it's 4 and 4, on the left it's 2 and 2. Really? Okay, maybe it's 2 pixels in the left and right. At some point we'll do a screenshot comparison. We're not there yet, but for now let me just tell you that it looks pretty close. Position needs to be absolute, and then as far as the positioning, this is a little trick that I've learned from a while ago. Is that I use translate instead of using left and top. And apparently that's better. It's just more efficient. It's faster. I recommend it. And it's also a nice little one-liner too. Transform. I got my XY that I passed in from the styled component, which, as you can see, where is it here? Here it is. So the styled menu, I get the on blur, the ref to the menu, the tab, right here at the end, I'm passing in the X and Y that I'm getting from the menu here. So I pass those into the styled component as props, and then I translate here with them. So that's for the main nav piece. Now for the organized list, I've done a little more tweaking. So if it's a separator, that's the color I found for the separator. It's 1 pixel height, and here's the margins I've used to match what a right-click menu looks like. The figure, similar story. I'm using flex to make sure it lines up the way that I want on the sides, sorry. And then I'm doing some padding to the way that the text is and the icons, basically. Of 3 and 3, again, this matched my screenshot, basically, just me comparing. This was the hover color that I found for the figure. For the text, now this was a bit tricky, and for this I'm not sure it's perfect, but basically there's some calculated amount of space on the right, and I've decided to estimate that as 64 pixels. Now I could be wrong. Sometimes it looks a little bit like 70. Sometimes there's an arrow there for like an expand menu, so I may still do some fine-tuning to that, but I like something about 64 because I made an observation that on the other side, to get the text, like the open text, to be exactly where it is, that was 32 pixels. So I thought there was some niceness to be like 32 there and then 64 here on the other side. Now the reason why I'm doing margin left of 32, and then I'm doing the image, the icon here is accounting for that. It's accounting for 24 of the pixels, and then it's doing 8 of the other pixels on the other side. So 8 plus 24 is also 32. Basically what I'm doing there is I want the text to be always where it is. So the text right now is not dependent on there being an image there, an icon. Because I always want the text to line up, like open, delete, rename, but occasionally there's an icon. Now, and this is my CSS way of not having it where the icon is moving the item around. So it's positioned relative to the figure here, and it's always set at 32 to the left. And I also did another little tweak of 1 pixel down on the text, it looks like, because I made an observation that that's just the way it's done in Windows, as far as I can see for now. And then as you see here, I did that primary piece. So if it's a primary class, it's a little bit more bold. And I've explained the margins for the image here. That's just to make the icon. That's about it for the menu. So yeah, we can get that blur back here. Oops. And let's zoom this back out to some kind of reasonable number. Let's say there. And there we go. We right click these and they work. They all work pretty cool. And they're decently fast. Now I notice, I don't know if there's a flicker. I haven't gotten to the animation yet to see how exactly it comes in on Windows. So we're not there yet on how we'll animate it, if we'll animate it. But for now, I'm happy with the functionality. So let us see what we've changed before we commit that and then add the delete and rename. So we changed quite a bit here with the menu. Wait, what is this? This is the file entry, right? So we took out the open file piece and we made that its own hook. And we focused the file entry on just being the file entry itself. Everything else is hooks here. And this is what I've tried to do in other places. I've actually told myself to strive for this. Is when I see like a use callback within my thing, I go, okay, that has to be another hook. And essentially all my primitive hooks should be in custom hooks. So like a use state or a use callback or a use ref. Maybe not use ref, but most of the base use hooks should be inside a custom hook where they're doing whatever logic, even if it's minor, like just opening a file. So I extracted out that custom hook. I added some of the basic menu logic here, and I put it on the button. So you see, I had to do very little. Basically, to add the context menu to a file entry, it was this on context part, it was the menu hook that's outside, and it was the use menu context. So 3 lines on any of my components now, and I can essentially add a right-click menu. And then those 3 lines, one of them at least is referencing a hook that I need to make, the use context menu for that specific component. So here's the context menu in this case. We don't have anything empty right now. Empty was going to be my test if I click a file like this one here. Yeah, you see empty. So that's because I have nothing that can run that file right now. But we're going to get rid of that because by default we're always going to have a delete and rename. So open will be, I might in the future make open disabled, but for now I like it just disappearing. But we're going to get rid of this else logic. That was just for demonstration purposes for the most part. And we're going to leave this kind of empty for now. So that's very basic, just focused on open right now. This was that extracted hook. I should just call this, yeah, use file, open file. It's the same. What is this again? What is this? This is the menu component, right? So it's just that styled menu with the organized list, the ordered list that has the menu items. Here's one of the menu items, HR if it's a separator, figure otherwise. The styled menu with all the little definitions of how it should look, along with the XY positioning. The initial state for the hook, which is just generic. The new context factory with a menu. This is the menu hook itself that kind of keeps track of the menu items, as well as updating of the position. And this is where I've wrapped menu provider. Okay. So added context menu support. And we're going to use that all over the place. between that and the file menus that I want to have, like, you know, between the title bar here and the content, there's typically a file menu where you can do like file, edit, help, that kind of thing. Once I have that, plus the right clicks, that unlocks every app to be like, anytime I want to add functionality, I can just put it in one of those places. Whereas right now, most of my apps are just like a window, like my v86 emulator and my DOS emulators. I just show you the canvas right now, and you can play with the canvas. But if you want to load a different file, you want to load state, you want to save state, you want to do a learn information like a help about for those emulators, I don't have that. And for right click, maybe right click could show full screen, you know, for JS DOS or something. Who knows? Okay, so we've done this and this, and now we can move on to the other stuff. So rename is tricky. Rename we're going to save till the end. For now, let's do delete. So first thing we're going to do is the functionality for delete, and we're going to put that in the use files area where we already have a hook called use files. And where is use files used? Here. Right, so the file manager, when it opens up, and then remember the desktop is also a file manager. So what am I doing here? All right, because we're talking about the file entry context menu. So within the context of if you see a file entry, you're in the file manager. So the file manager gets its files from here, that list. So if I want to delete a file from there, I'm going to have to update this list. So I've decided to put in here to pass a new function down called delete files. And I might rethink this at some point because I'm doing a little bit of prop drilling, passing this through, but I'm just passing it through one intermediary. And I think there might be a reason for that, even for a use case for the intermediary, but I could be wrong there. Anyways, delete files is probably going to get passed to the file entry. Let's make it here. So I'm going to say delete file is getting exported. And what is delete file? All it does is it's just a function that takes a path. What do you want to delete, basically? So it's a use callback here, takes a path, and then it does fs.unlink. Kind of a weird node fs command. Unlink is delete. Whatever. I'm sure there's a reason for it. So delete this path, and then once it's done, currently I don't check for errors. Probably should, but I'm not doing it right now. So I need base name here. Let me import that. So what am I doing here? So the trick here, I had to make a list of unlinked paths because I noticed that for when you first load the files, some of them would be like let's say in the desktop here, the array of names could be like doom.url. But if I were to drag in a file, it'll have a full path for some reason. So it'll be like, wait, why does it do that? Maybe that's an error on my part. And maybe that makes no sense. I wonder if that's happening because of this append file thing. Yeah, because something I noticed was the files I dragged in were like an entire path. Maybe this should just be... Yeah, maybe I can get rid of this complicated part if I'm just better with appending files. Let's double check that. So here, console.log, append file. Maybe I just found a bug in my code. I say found as if I've shown you guys anything. It was all in my head, but that's where I do my best coding. So I've added a little console log here, and I want to append a file. Oh, I broke something. She broke. Okay, refresh. So I'm going to drag a file on with the console open. I can't show you guys the console from this one, so I'm actually going to open up a different one here in the browser. It's not broken right now. Nice. So we got the console. I'm going to drag this. Oh, wait, that'll probably mess it up. I'll drag this on my stream notes. Okay, so that's wrong. Yeah, because if we go back to the code here, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So the current files array. It's interesting that this works, by the way. This might be a glitch in browser FS because like it's showing up there, but if you look at the list here, which one of these things is not like the other, you know? Yeah, so this is wrong here. It's adding the path, but it's still working. And watch, if I refresh, it'll probably go away. I mean, yeah, ignore that. Let me put another file in, and you'll see that it's kind of gone. Yeah, you see here now it's gone. So I think it's just a coincidence that it happened to work, but the problem is my code. So I had a little fancy logic that when you drag something on, rather than just get a new list of the files, I would just put the file at the bottom because I didn't want the renaming to occur. And I don't yet have a method of storing the icon positioning. So yeah, I was just dumping the append file to the end of the array, but I didn't realize it was a full path. So let us fix that. I think base name is what I need, but I should have been doing it here instead of somewhere else. Let's take a test there. I don't know. Let's go back to the browser and try another file. So I'm just going to drag a rando file on. Yeah, here we go. So the base name is what I wanted this time. So let's delete this because I just made a mess of my directory here. And soon we'll be able to really delete files without having to do it that jank way where I just clear the cache. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to make this like this. So if there's an append file, then we'll do it, but just use the base name. And I think it's okay to only use base name right here. Makes sense. There we go. So that should still function from a drag and drop point of view, but now the files should always be the way I expect. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. So it still functions, and if I refresh, it's still there. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's clear that again. Reload this with nothing. So now it's always the name that I expect. So what is path here? Yeah, so I always want to compare base name too. So I don't need unlinked paths includes this anymore. I can just say file doesn't equal the base name. Oh, I shouldn't convert it a bunch of times, should I? It's slightly inefficient to do it that way, but at the same time, the code's more elegant and I don't think it makes a huge difference. So let's get back to explaining the code. So my delete function, unlink, so delete this path, and then once it's done, I just want to update the list of paths. And basically the list of paths is whatever the current list was, but filtering out that file. And there's actually a good case. No, I was going to say there's a case that it would already be gone, but no, that's not the case because I'm not re-requesting from FS. I'm just saying whatever the old files were, just remove that file basically. So this logic looks a little more clean than I had before. Before I was using an array because it could have been, the path could have been two different ways, I think, was what I was concerned about. If you deleted a file that was already there or you deleted a file that was recently dragged on. And the problem was because my recently dragged on logic was a mess. So that gets rid of that piece there. That's explained now. What's the next little piece of delete? Yeah, so delete file needs to get passed down into the file entry next. Now, if you remember here, we were pulling it in here, delete file, and then we're going to use it here. So this is where I'm doing a little prop drilling. I wish I didn't have to pass this down because I think I might even have to pass it down again into the context menu. I hate doing like double pass downs and stuff, but I just can't think of a better way at the moment. And now I'm having to declare it in several places too, which I don't like doing. So I had to declare delete file here in the hook, and then I have to declare it here because I'm passing it in. Yeah, basically. And then where am I using it here? Right, so when I'm making the context menu, if I want to be able to delete stuff, I need that delete file function. This is basically just like a self-destruct function now, but it self-destructs in a way that allows the thing that was displaying it to know to update, to remove it. That's the trick. That's why I had to pass it down. Basically, I'm from the list area, I'm passing down this function so that the little piece itself has the ability to delete itself and update its parent, basically. So now just keep going down the tree here. So we're going to pass in delete file as a void function. I don't care what it does, basically. And let me go back to the use context menu to make sure I'm doing that correct, because I'm probably not. If I have to make sure, I'm probably doing it wrong, typically. Okay, now we can update that menu label. So that fixes that piece. So I'm just going to copy what I had before and delete rename again here. So right now we have one menu item all the time. So we always have delete and the action is delete. So basically you can delete any file you see. And we might think at some point about this logic and not allow deleting anything. And at this time, I'm going to add that separator back in too now. So if you can open it, then we'll also have a separator. So have I done enough? I've only changed 2 files. It seems like I haven't done enough. I have to save something else here. I need to change this. Or is this wrong? Maybe this is wrong. Oh yeah, this is wrong. Delete file is just a void function now. Isn't it? Where is it coming from? Yeah. No, it takes a path. Why would it take a path? Oh yeah, of course it would. I could define the path here, I guess. But is that pointless? I'm trying to understand if this is what I had before. It must not have been. I must need to fix something because this is correct. This, I just want the person to click it and it deletes it. And I don't want to be passing path here. So I'm happy with this. Let's close this for now and try to understand where things have gone awry in my thinking. Yeah, delete file, I'm just passing straight. So here, where is it wrong? Let's go to use files in my other code here to try to understand. It's like my code's wrong, I think. That's what's not making sense. I can't have written anything wrong. That's impossible. I'm joking, by the way, on that one. So this is correct here. Yeah, I need you to give me the string of the file to delete, obviously. So what am I missing here where I have that string? So weird. I'm just going to search for the word delete file in all my code and try to figure out what happened. So let's say for the file entry, this also should expect a path. And oh, okay, I was missing another piece. So this is the place where I'm missing it. Yes. This needs to exist. There we go. I'm calling it delete entry, and I pass it like that. So within this, it is correct that this delete file has nothing because I make a function here that passes that down. There we go. So yeah, delete entry is a callback that does delete file and passes the path down here so that the use context menu can stay dumb and just be like, I clicked it, it should have deleted it. So that should get us delete entry as far as I'm concerned. Let's try it out. So let's refresh this, which broke for some reason. And let's try it out. So we click on this. Oh, that didn't work the way I expected it to. Ah, right. You know why? Because when I was testing, I changed this from unshift to push. So unshift is like put it to the top of the array. So that should be at the top of the array. There we go. So if I right click, that looks nice. So we have our, there we go. Ah, okay. So that's 100%. When I'm zoomed into 100%, that looks crisp to me. But I'm going to put it to 125 for visually for you guys. So let's try it out. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to press delete. It's gone. And now watch, if I refresh the page, it's just gone, guys. So that's something where people are going to have to know to clear the cache, the site data. So there, I just cleared the site data in the background. Now if I reload, it's back. My plan for this is I'm going to have on the start menu, on the shutdown restart is I'm going to attempt to invalidate the original file system, in which case it'll make a new one based on the JSON file and everything will come back. Because you're not really deleting anything. You're just deleting a reference to a file in the fake file system that's loaded in the IndexedDB database. So you're deleting the entry, which is kind of similar to an OS, so I'm happy that way. I mean, it's not always similar to every OS, but anyways. So cool, we got delete, we got open. I think we're ready to commit that at the moment. Let's just take a peek at the code here and see if there's anywhere else where I could be missing something. I don't think so. Okay, so let's get into the rename because the rename is the hard part. Actually, let's review our changes quickly. So yeah, I added delete entry here, simple enough. Passed it into the context menu. Added the separator and unshifting for open. Always have a delete option. Oh, by the way, now that we always have delete, so if I go in here and I right click session, you see we just have delete. And I can click there and delete it. And now session's gone. And actually, if I delete session, that's interesting. I wonder how that'll work. If I reload, it'll probably come back. Yeah, because session just gets regenerated. So that's funny. So watch, I put this up here, I close it, and I reload the page. So if I open, so it saved my session because now it knows the window's up there. But if I delete the session here, and then I close, and I refresh the page, and I reopen. That's interesting. So I delete this, and then I refresh. Oh, okay, I think I know why. I think because I had that window open, maybe it resaved and remade the session. I think a more legitimate test would be if I had two windows. So let's try that. So I got the image window up here and I got this window up here, and I delete session and now I refresh. So this one still might remember. No, good. Now they both don't remember. Although I don't think that's a valid test. 1 second. I put this up here. I put this up here. I close them both. I reload. So if I open this and I open this, they both remember that they're up there. Now if I delete session and then I yeah, that should be enough. And now when I reload, yeah, now it's forgotten it. So cool. So that's a way to delete the positional information, but that won't help for like if I delete this and then I delete my session. Oh, deleted files. Oh, there's a secret file. Maybe I'll add a little thing where the dot files are going to have that little opaque styling to be hidden. That might be a fun thing to do. Maybe I'll make a note of that. Let's make a note in the stream notes. Here they are. So for next stream or whenever, have dot files show as hidden / opaque. There we go. That'll be like when with the show hidden files thing. So it's interesting, there's this deleted files that it makes. But as you see here, if I delete the session and then I reload the page, it's not gonna fix my icons bit that I deleted. But I wonder if I delete the deleted files, what will happen? That's like an inception event there. Okay, I deleted the deleted files. Now if I reload, that didn't help. I don't think you can delete the deleted files in reality. Doesn't look like it. So if I close this and reopen, yeah, it didn't even delete it. Because if the same with session, if I close it and reopen, well, closing makes a new session. Let's try deleting favicon and then close it. Wait, is this just not working at all or what's up? Oh, unlock of a non-locked mutex. Oh, that error again? What the heck does that mean? I actually had a problem like this with renaming too. I think browser FS has, and it crashed the whole thing. My thing just froze on me. I'll press exit, I guess. Nice. Ah, snap. Okay, so there's some risks with delete and rename that we're gonna have to work on. This is my first time ever messing with that. I never had this in V1, the ability to delete and rename stuff. So we need to find ways for browser FS to be able to handle this. But for now, let's not worry about that. Let's just worry about the running of the command. You know, I'm doing fs unlink. Should work. It's not necessarily working every time, but should have. So we're going to clear the site data again to get back all our icons and finish our review of the code here, passing delete file. Yeah. So there's not much to this. fs unlink. So I tried to do unlink and it gave me that mutex garbage. I don't think that's on me, but perhaps it is. Maybe it's because I tried to delete that first file that I shouldn't have deleted. I wonder. Let's try to delete favicon again. And then close this and reopen. And the mutex crash. Okay, it really hates me doing that. So I should probably stop doing that. Let's just save this. Added delete to context menu. And I'm going to make another show note thing. Fix delete / rename crashing. And I'll say exit again here. What was it? Mutex? I didn't get the whole error. Mutex error. I'll just put. There we go. I'll recreate it at my own time. So we got a good chunk of stuff now. Next up is the deletion part, or the renaming part, sorry. That's a tricky part. That's one of the trickier parts. So where to begin with that one? So the reason rename is tricky is because I'm taking a text label and turning it into an input label for momentarily, you know? And I haven't got it perfect yet visually. There's a little trick involving the width auto adjust that I don't have, but let's just see where we can get with it. So rename. What's the first piece for our rename we should get into? Components, system, files, file entry, index. This is the file entry piece. This is where I'm going to do my renaming logic for now until I think of a different way. So I'm going to have to do the same thing where I need, in the same way that the file entry needs the ability to rename itself or to delete itself, it needs the ability to rename itself. So I'm going to have that here as well. And I might pass these down as one thing at some point, like self-referential functions, or somehow find a way to inject it into the prototypes or all sorts of cool words like that. I don't know what I'll do, but I want that to work. So we'll see. There we go, alphabetically. So for rename, I need the path and I need the new name. And if for some reason the user puts no name, I do put it as optional, and I think I handle that down the road. Or I just don't do anything, but we'll see. So next up, so I have a little Boolean that I set in my state that we're gonna have called renaming. So when the user clicks rename, they're basically entering rename mode, I've decided, because that's how it is with the file icon. When you click rename, the text turns into an input box, and then you're renaming it, you know? Anything you type there, if you go away, if you click anywhere, you just saved it. So you're essentially in rename mode, and to escape, you either don't change it or you change it. So we're gonna add another use state here. And remember, I said this was an anti-pattern. If I'm using this, I probably should be using a custom hook, but I'm not there yet. So for now, you'll have to bear with me. Same with this delete entry. I might call this like self-referential stuff and make some kind of subcomponent, or I don't know what I'll do. So for rename entry, all I really do is set this Boolean to true to kind of get into that rename mode. And then rename mode is basically going to switch it from being a figure caption, a piece of text, to an input box. And I'm going to copy that logic right here. So I'll just, oops, what am I doing? Basically paste it there. So the fig caption is the or condition now. So if it's renaming, do this. Otherwise, that title from before. And the do this part is a new box, a new component called the rename box, which is basically just an input box that I've made that has some special things it can do. So the rename box has a rename file function, it looks like. I'm not 100% happy with this implementation necessarily, but the idea here right now is that the rename box has a rename file function that does the rename file command and then also sets renaming as false. And I might eventually change that logic to make it a little more quick visually and only revert back if the rename fails. I might rename automatically and then revert on failure. But right now I don't have it that way. Right now I show you the text. It's the old text for milliseconds. And then when the rename succeeds, the text changes. But I don't know which is ideal yet. So rename entry is another thing we're going to have to pass here. Remember, this is the context menu. So now we also want rename entry to enter you into that rename mode in which we show the rename box. And it gets the original path plus the new name, which will make it a new path. So that's why I called it original path. And that's all that this rename file function, which is getting passed in, is doing, taking the path and the name. Okay, that logically makes sense. We need to update this now as well. I'm not even going to look at my old code. I remember this one. This is easy. So we also pass in rename file, and we just add that function. And just like how it is in Windows, delete comes, let me double check that. Yeah, delete comes first and then rename. And they also have create shortcut, which we'll eventually do. Not today. There we go. So that's simple enough for declaring a menu item. So now we have a rename menu item, but we still might be missing some pieces here. This rename box doesn't exist yet, so let's make that. So we've captured this. I'm going to do this piece at the same time, and I'm going to explain to you guys in a, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Better yet, I'll show you. What is it going to do? I'll put it right here for now. So I'm just going to put that there, and then I'll get back to that as to why that needs to exist. That's a fix that I might have to apply to other things. Oh, wait a minute. We have a button right here. Oh. Maybe I'll apply it right to the button, but we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to it. I keep jumping ahead. Stop it, Dustin. Okay. So I'm going to minimize this file now because we've got all the juice out of that one. This one as well, I think. Yeah, we have those pieces now. So we got both buttons, even though we're not done with them yet. We are passing it down to the file entry, are we? I don't know if we are yet, actually. Where is that? Within the file manager. I think, yeah, we need to do that. We might be missing that piece here. Yeah, we need to also pass in rename file, which we'll call rename file, which we get from wherever the heck we get this from here. Elemental P QRSTUV. Okay, it goes here then. There we go. And now we need to make the rename file function within use files because we don't have it yet. Which it's right here. So we are exporting that one as well. So we declare that in the types that it's also going to be able to pass out rename file. And then we just have to make the rename file command here. Oops, not like that. Like that. And we make sure to pass it out here. And now let's explain what this is. I'm going to import this extension name. So delete file we've already discussed. So for rename file, we take the path and the name, and then if the name exists, so if the name doesn't exist, we are not going to move forward with it. But if the name does exist, we check for the name here, then we do it. We got the new path here, yeah, which we put there. And right, I think this is another case of where we can use base name possibly. Let me double check here. So we do fs rename. We have the original path. We have the new path, which is a construct that comes from the directory, which we knew, the name, which we were just given, plus the extension. Right, because currently I'm not showing any file extensions like .url, .txt. So when you go rename, you're actually just renaming the name part, not the extension part. So that's why I have to make sure to add extension back. And that's why another reason why I needed to know the original path. So having the original path means I know the original extension. In the future, we'll probably show extensions so we can allow people to change the extensions. But we're not going to let them change the URL shortcut extensions, I don't think. Just won't look nice. .url everywhere. So we do rename. And then after it's done, we update the files where we do the same thing. We go through the current files, we find the file, and we replace its name. So we're just going to use this one. Because if you guys remember, we figured out a way to make it just base name once we fixed that append problem. So there we go. That's a little bit cleaner. We'll keep this new path declaration because we're using new path twice. So it's just more efficient. You could make an argument that we should actually be storing these as well because we're doing a bit of looping here with map and we're running base name every time. It's less efficient, but the code to me is a little cleaner. And at the same time, when we're talking about efficiency, I think we're talking milliseconds here, you know? This isn't where I'm going to make my stance for code tweaking. Not yet, you know? Maybe at some point I might get into it. Okay, so we have renamed file now as well. We're passing it correctly to wherever it's needed. I'm just kind of reviewing what else is left here. We haven't done that yet. The visuals here. Right, so I don't currently have... Why don't I? I don't have a styled component for this. Let's just get to the renamed component. Here's the rename box here. Let's get to it so we know what the heck it looks like. Okay, so I've put it in with the file entry here. And I call it the rename box.tsx. And it's simple enough, it's on one page. So the props for the rename box are its name, so we can show the name that it was. Its path. Why the hell do we need its path? What are we doing here? Right. Name, path, and a new rename file function that also does the disabling of the rename mode. Okay, let's just see where this goes. it's weird because we have this in here and here that we pass. Why don't I just pass the function as is then? I guess I do. What am I using name for? Okay, so I'll use name in a few places. Yeah, I need name, I need path. Here's the function. So we need another reference to the input box to do stuff to it. DOM manipulation. Now we make a function called save rename, in which we use that rename file function that we got passed. We give it the old path and the new name that we get from the input box. And the path, and this function will change if the path or if the rename file function changes. Now, when the rename box loads, we want to focus on that box, and then we want to select a text within it, because that's what happens in Windows. When you rename a text box, the text is automatically focused. And then we just return the object, which in this case is an input. This is where we didn't get to the styled piece. I'm going to make this a styled component here. And we'll call it rename styled rename box equals styled dot input. And I'm just going to use that CSS that I had put inside. Where did I have it? I had it in the styled file entry, but I'm happier to have it here. Then I don't even need to put input there. I can just go right to dumping the code in. There we go. So that's what we'll use here. And I'm just going to export that out because I keep all my styled components in their own folders. Styled rename box.ts. There we go. And we export it like so. Oop, add the word default. Forgot default there. And we need to import styled. There we go. That's being exported there. And then we'll just import it here. Like, nope. There's trouble with importing sometimes. Import this from, well, let's just try to think about it. It's in components. It's a system component for when the files change, specifically a file entry. Here we go. Hopefully that means that the paths made sense. Okay. So back to the box first. The input box, in React, you use this default value to set the initial value, but allow it to be changed. So the default value is the original name. Now, if you click off of the box, because remember, we're focused on it now. So if you click anywhere away, that's going to count as save, just like in Windows. If you press key down and you press enter, that's also going to count as save. So if the key is enter, run rename. Maybe, yeah. Again, I'm not a fan of this and. It's just not the nicest looking syntax to me, but let's just leave it. We need the ref so that we can do the focusing. We don't need to do tab index on an input box for focus and blur. It works like that by default. Now I've done this size attribute. If you don't set size, then the width it's not as easy to tame, kind of. It doesn't listen as good. And I've also disabled spell check because it's the name of something, so the spelling is whatever you say it is. So this disables like squiggly line autofix in browsers sometimes. It's nice to have. And for the input box, I had to say type text. I actually don't think I need to. That might be the default, but I like to specify it. I think ESLint might complain if I don't. Actually, I guess this could just be part of this, because it's not really this too, actually, and this. Yeah, quite a few of these pieces could be. These three pieces could be part of this. I need to remember how I do that. It's like style.att, is it? No, attr or something. Button. Here we go. So there's a way to set attributes when you're making a styled component. There we go. Just hollow that out rather than think about it. So here's where I need to put the attributes now. Right. Type is text. Elemental PQRST. Spell check is false. And the size is 1. There we go. So now if you ever use this styled rename box, it's always going to have these attributes. And it kind of matches because setting the size allows me to set the width the way I want. Spell check is relevant to these rename boxes because rename is about a name, and name I don't want to spell check. And obviously it's a box so I want to type in, so I want it to be text. So that's inherent to that box. And it also makes this a little thinner. I like doing that. And this focuses on stuff I need. Input ref, I only have here. Save rename, I only have here. And name, I only have here. I could pass name into this, but at this, why, you know? Go like name, and then do default value over there. That doesn't make any sense. Okay. We have a rename box. We have so many things. What don't we have? Let's take a peek. So we just did the rename box. We took the stylings from here. I told you we didn't need that, so this is good now. We'll get back to that, I think, maybe. Okay. Oh man, and that's it, because we're at Webamp here. Oh, so let's test it out. So let's try it out here. So we refresh, we broke it. Let me make sure everything's saved. Yeah, everything's saved, so let's try it out. So I'm gonna take Webamp here, right click it. There's the button, and I click rename. Ta-da! The box is a bit big. Rename box is not defined. Okay, simple enough. I probably just didn't import it after I created it. There we go. Let's import this. Oh, right, I wanted to discuss this too. Oh, I did not import there. I wish auto import was just a heck of a lot smarter. From, I don't know where. I don't want to type it. Let's try this. Maybe that worked. I don't know. I'm just gonna see. Looks like that worked. Okay, so that should save at least. So before we, well, no, let's continue. Let's continue. So I'm gonna do it to this one now instead. File Explorer. Right click. So I press rename. There we go. So you see, some parts aren't perfect. The visual sizing is not ideal. I wanted it to be able to be multi-line, more adjustable with the width to where I could have a minimum. Now there's a way to do that. I could make I could even have kept fig caption the way it was, and I could have turned it into editable content and then changed the style of the fig caption to look like an input box. But the problem with that is that editable content acts kind of weird on some browsers. So I've decided to go with this input box method, but it has its own unfortunate side effects in that it just doesn't look quite as ideal as I would want. Let's try it out though. So we go meow and we press enter. There we go. And you might have saw a little flash of File Explorer for a second. That's that thing I was telling you about where I send the rename request, and then when it's done, I rename. I could do it the other way around, where I rename it, then I send the request, and if the request fails, I put it back. That will at least visually make it quicker, and presumably it's not going to fail most of the time. But it did work, so we got meow here instead of File Explorer. If we reload the page, it stayed. So we've now essentially made that permanent change. And it didn't crash with any mutex garbage, so that's cool. But as I said, sometimes it does. Like watch, if I try to change it back, let's try to change it to woof, it might be okay. It handled that, but watch if I try to change it back to what it used to be called. File Explorer. Yeah, there we go, it hated that. And I think we get the same garbage. Unlock, let me copy this time. Unlock of a non-locked mutex. Let's put that in the notes here. Unlock of a non-locked mutex. So I need to figure out a way to resolve that, but for now I'm just going to hope that this will work in ideal conditions, because I did not write browser FS and I'm not going to pretend to just be able to slip in there in 10 seconds and fix whatever the heck that was. But it's another thing we'll dig into probably. So we got a rename box. So I want to show you why I needed this. Oh wait, let's discuss the styling for the rename box because I forgot to. It's pretty easy though. Just a simple border. Again, this is for me renaming a file in Windows and visually trying to copy exactly it. Like the position even of where it is in reference to the box around it. I matched that. I matched everything I could other than that thing I just told you about the size adjusting and the height there. But I feel like that's a compromise for now. And I tried text area in case anyone wants to suggest that, but it didn't work unfortunately. So the text, I make it a little smaller, I noticed. So I go 11.5 when I'm renaming. Font family, I just say inherit. So give me the same one I had in the other guy. Otherwise, it wasn't doing that. It wasn't giving me the system font, which is what I want. Margin bottom 2. Why? I don't remember the logic of that. Oh, okay. So I'm doing position relative, top 2, and then margin bottom 2. I think this had to do with the fig caption keeps the box at a certain size, and then when a text box came in, it actually shrunk a tiny bit. So I made it so the text box would go down a little bit and then also make the box the right height. So it's, again, just minor tweaking, and we'll go over it with a fine-tooth comb in the near future. I'm going to switch this to 64 just to be clever, like I was with that other 3264 thing. This is just for the width of the rename. I don't think it'll make a huge difference. Let's try it over here in my test page up here. Try it again. Rename woof. Wait, what did I just change? Oh yeah, the width. I actually don't like 64, to be honest. Actually, no, it looks okay in that screen grab right there. Yeah, it looks okay. I'm hoping eventually to make that dynamic. I think I can with some JavaScript. I don't know about the height part, maybe, but it gets complex sometimes, those little pieces. Sometimes you can't do everything with CSS. So the padding, text centered, yeah, all this is just trying to match how it looked for me. So that's that. So that gives us our renamed box as well. And we pass rename file around. Oh man, I didn't get to this on key up thing again. When will I ever get to that? So it's probably a little bit anticlimactic now, but let me show you here. So let me just try typing something. Hi, my name is, you see what happened there? What happened? So what happened is, and I've noticed this, oh, and something else happened. Oh, the renaming of the file, it somehow wonked out again too. All right, so that's crashed. But the reason it opened the folder is it counted my 2 spaces, which were quick apart, because I was just typing a sentence that had plenty of spaces in it. It actually counts a space is almost equivalent to like enter and equivalent to clicking. So watch, I'll show you here. So if I'm on a file and I go space, space, you see it opens. I don't want that. Now I looked into it and that has, oh, what happened there? That's weird. I wonder if that's related to the file being named wrong and it's like fighting with itself now. Okay, let's just clear the application cache, but this is crashed, so how do I do that? Let me try that again. I'm going to try to clear the application cache before this thing goes bonkoids on me again. There we go. So the cache should be cleared there. So unfortunately, there's some bugs when you rename this stuff, but at least it's possible to do it now. So back to this here. So space, space, you see it opens twice and doesn't give me that mutex garbage this time. So back to what I've discovered in regards to that is that key up is actually catching on click events and treating them as click events when they're spaces or enters. Now, I don't know the reasoning behind this. I don't know if it's React, if it's the way buttons work. I don't know. But I do know that on key up is a way to catch it and stop it. And you just say on key up, oh, there was an event. Don't worry about it. I'm not dealing with key up events, which you're trying to treat as clicks. So watch, I save that, I refresh this page, and now when I click, there, now it's not doing anything. And that's how it should be. Now actually, if I press enter twice, oh cool, enter still works. So I'm perfectly fine with enter being treated as a click. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And that works fine for rename too, because if you press enter once, it's a rename. So you're never gonna press enter twice. Now, if you went enter, enter, it might be like you did a rename and then you open it right away. That might occur. I'm not sure, but who cares? I don't care about that. So good. So now it's working. So now watch. So now if I do rename and I say, hi, my name is Dustin. See, I did a bunch of spaces in a row there and it doesn't mess up. But if I press enter, it renames. And I don't know if I'll get a mutex crash or who knows what. Let's just clear the cache before we start getting some kind of mutex fight here. That's a problem for another day. Cool, so that's not a bad rename. I'm happy with that for now, other than that one little minor thing I told you guys about. Oh, right. So this is another one of those behaviors that I think should be a default. So menu we need from here, open file we need from here, but we don't need jack from here. Let's move this up a level and just say that none of our buttons should act the way that that one was acting. So we have a common button here. Oops. And we actually already have an attributes thing we're using here. So let's just add on key up, LMNOP, on key up, do this. There we go. So, oh, and then I add a comma here. There. So now every button should act that way. Yeah, there we go. So anywhere where I use buttons. So let's say, oh, that actually might help in other places too. Like on the taskbar, I was having that problem. Oh yeah, but if I press enter, okay, that's fine. Nice. Yeah, that was a problem I was having before with DOS, where someone would be playing Doom, and I think if they hit the space bar, it would be, and you'd previously focused on the taskbar item, it would count that as clicking the taskbar and it would minimize. So this might help in several areas. So that's another beauty with styled components and being able to set attributes and styling for a component at the same time. You make these super components basically. Oh, I actually hadn't saved that, so that last test wasn't actually valid, but it should still be the same. Yeah, there we go. It's working. Okay, so we're happy with that. We're happy with the rename box, the styled component for now. Again, we'll move this all to a theme one day. Added rename to the dropdown, to the right-click menu, sorry. Added the rename function, and we enhanced that button. Added renaming. And I also, didn't I fix some bugs somewhere along the way? I don't even remember, there's so many of them, but I think I fixed some kind of bug. Was it in here? No. Let's try to remove size, by the way. What happens if I remove size? And then if I make a rename box? Seems okay. Yeah, you know, at one point I thought I needed size, but now I'm questioning myself. Let's just get rid of size for now. I know we need the other stuff. Like, well, now I'm not so sure. What was the other stuff? Yeah, spell check legit works. I've seen that work, so that's cool. Conceptually, even if it only worked like 2% of the time, I don't want to spell check that stuff. So just from a defining what I want, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's a little more generic. And it still seems to be working. Let's try one more time. Rename. Yeah, that's the right size. And you see if I blur off, so I click off blur, it didn't rename. Nothing happened. Added renaming. What was the bug I fixed? I've forgotten once again what that bug was. Didn't I make a component more generic other than this one? I guess it was just the rename box? No. Oh yeah, I added attributes here, and I added attributes to the button. Okay. Let's not psych myself out here. I'm thinking that I changed more than I changed, but it's okay. Let's take a peek. I think we're totally done with this piece. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the code and just say added renaming context. So we've done everything here. And now we have a little bit of Webamp stuff that we can do. This is actually pretty easy, so let's take a peek at it because it's mostly just me removing stuff. Webamp is in it's in flux. I'm gonna have my water. I don't know if I even drank any of this. Refreshing. Okay. So Webamp simplification. Let's look at what we did. Let's do the logic of the centering first. This piece here, do I want to discuss it? Let's try really quick. Oh, we can actually test it in the browser. Basically, all that this is for the little bottom padding down here. So if we, this is something I noticed. It's funny. I'm so used to clicking things and inspecting to do my dev work. But now when I right click here, I get the fake menu. So now I've had to start clicking here and then hovering over it, which actually is a nice little trick to do anyways. So, okay. So when I hover over this, the goal that I want is for there to be 5 pixels between the start menu and the icon before it jumps up. Because there's 5 pixels up here. If you see, we'll hover this one too. So I just want them to have the same amount of space. Yeah, something's wrong there, I think. Let's try to, yeah, oh, there's lots of space. Oh wait, no, there's a reason for that. I want there to be 2 lines possible. So let's try Google Chrome. I'm just gonna rename it. There, pretend it's Google Chrome. So, I wanna see here. Yeah, that seems wrong. Okay, so 1 pixel more and it flips. But as you can see here, there's more space here than here. I think it's just that 3 pixel difference. So I'm gonna make that change. somewhere it was called 23. Here it was. Yeah, so the file manager for the main one, so the desktop file manager, there's bottom padding to account for the double-lined icons plus the taskbar plus how I want the spacing to exist. So it's a little tricky. This one's a little hard to grasp a little bit, but I mean, conceptually it's easy. So let's try to go 3 pixels up and see if that looks better. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And a way I could confirm if I'm going to be hardcore about it is I can take my screenshots. So back to the old MS Paint. So I took a screenshot of the bottom there, and I'll take another screenshot of the top, like so. And then what we can do here is, oops, not that. I'm not necessarily a MS Paint wizard. And basically just do this and see that does not look correct. Well, so what do we have for distance here? So on the top, we do indeed, wait, what? We have 6 pixels now. 6? It's supposed to be 5. Why are there 6? Pretty sure it was 5 pixels. Where is it here? Padding. File manager padding. Oh, now we gotta jump to the theme. I almost don't like the theme for this reason. Sizes, file manager, padding is 5. So where are we getting 6 pixels from? Oh, because I'm zoomed in a bunch. Okay. I keep forgetting about that. Oh, sorry guys. I was in the browser here. So I was zoomed in a little bit. So I'm going to try it again without the zoom wonkiness. There we go. So let's try again. So I got that. And we got the top one here again. So I just pasted them again. Let's jump back to MS Paint. So these are the new ones. So now here's the bottom. There we go. So that's 5 pixels. And the way I'm doing it, I use this little selector tool, and then I pick a spot, and then you can see down here. So it says 5 pixels. I mean, it shows you 2 numbers. I always forget which is width and which is height, but you can see here which is the bigger number. Which do you think is 52 and which do you think is 5, you know? So that one's 5, and then if we go here, nice, that's 5 too, with no zooming in. So there we go. So now we have 5 spacing on top and bottom. Oh no, I just closed MS Paint. Sorry guys. Well, we're probably done with MS Paint anyways. So there we go. So that's that little piece there, just to get that accuracy. And when it's only a single line, like what it said before, Linux here, you see there's a lot more space, but that's okay. I just want under the right conditions for it to look correct, which is why I had to do that weird offset here of 20 pixels. I mean, of any amount of pixels, it's like, why do you need that? So adjusted desktop bottom padding, let's say. Okay, that was a minor one. I actually didn't have that listed here. Let's just put it here. Adjust desktop bottom padding, even though I did it out of order. Back to the Webamp simplification. So this is done. So everything down here I've done. And now all that we have left is the Webamp piece. And let's move on to right to the positioning piece, because that's the easiest piece here. So I'm going to move over to the Webamp app to show you guys the app, Webamp. And in this case, I'm editing the functions page. So currently I've got this really complex, oh, sorry guys, again, I'm in the code here. So this is the Webamp's functions page. And I have this function here called update Webamp position. And I'm doing some wonkiness here where I'm going to the DOM, I'm getting all the window objects from the get. So within the get Winamp ID, they have the window, they call them. I was getting all of those and then adding the heights and widths together and calculating based on that. But I realized I only do this the first time on default. And on the first time on default, I know how I want it to look. I want it to have 3 windows. I know what size they're supposed to be. So all this calculation is kind of pointless because on the initial state, I know already. So I'm going to simplify it basically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a constant that's the base information that we know. So we have here this main height. I'm just going to actually make a different one called base window size. That's got the height is 116 and the width is 275. That's basically the main window, the playlist window, and the milk drop butter churn window. The visualization plugin are all the same dimensions, and it's just 3 of them. We're gonna get rid of this function here, and we're just gonna have this logic and run once. It's gonna be part of this. And we need very little of this, honestly. What I've salvaged from it is like almost nothing. So let's just see here what I have now. Basically, I just have this in place of all of this. So I'm not doing any of this math anymore or doing these different things. And this piece has just been moved to here. And I also forgot I needed to position milk drop as well. I wasn't. So if we see here, now all it is we get that height and width from the base window constant. And what do we do with it? We want to get the X and Y to know where to position the top left of Webamp. So we say either give us the, so let's delete all this stuff just to show you we didn't need this crap. So before I was checking position and doing all sorts of silly stuff. Now you see it's a lot more small. So you pass the position, and if there already is one, so it's been opened once in the past, just use that as the position and take the X and Y from it. Otherwise, you run the center position command, where the height is basically that default height times 3, because we know we want three windows from Winamp at the start, and the width, because we know they're stacked all on top of each other, so they all have the same width. When we're trying to calculate the center of the screen, basically, to open up Winamp. Because we want to center it in this case by default. Otherwise, you already know the position because you set it. So we figure out the X and Y, and then we just pass it to the Webamp store. We say update window positions. That's the function that they have. And then we just pass the 3 positions in where we say we want X, Y, we want X, and Y is the height plus Y. And we want the other one is the height times 2. So it's like put it here, then put it here, then put it here, basically is what I'm saying. And X and Y is whatever the top left position will be. So that's that little piece there without getting into the next step. Because yeah, what are we doing first? We're doing the simplifying the centering logic. That might have been a good chunk of it, honestly. Is everything else about the focus piece? Because that's another piece that I wanted to get into. Oh no, there's a piece here. Right, the types. I want to update the types a little bit. A little TypeScript action here. So I had like several different dispatches and then I was combining them here, but I'm not a huge fan of that. So what I'm gonna do is I have one here called the Webamp dispatch optional props. And it's gonna have these pieces here, which are the absolute, the position, the main, the playlist, and also the milk drop that I've added. So that covers that piece. We got the type possibly. Wait, where is this? Type. Where did I get type from? Okay. Oh, so Webamp dispatch will be like this. It'll be just these pieces here. So the Webamp dispatch will be the dispatch optional props and type. We always need to know type. And we're talking about here like this. So like the type is the function, is the name, either update window position or whatever. And again, if I got more advanced with types, I could be more clear and say, when it's update window position, I only want these things. And there is a way to do that with TypeScript. I just don't remember and I haven't dug into it. So window ID, yep, that's being accounted for now. Oops. So as far as the z-index and the window, we're not there yet. That's when we get into the foreground focus piece. So we'll just leave that there. Well, we won't add that yet. That was it for the type. That should fix this complaint that it had here where it didn't know what milk drop was. So that should actually have fixed positioning for the most part for Webamp. So let's refresh this here. Let's move the console to the right. Refresh again. So if wait, let me clear the cache so I make sure I don't have any Winamp original positional information. So let's open it. Great. Center screen, all 3 on top like I wanted. Nice. And then if I move it here, let's say, and I close that, and then I open it again. Nice. Now I wonder if it'll actually remember if I do this. Let's close that. I guess that's okay. I almost wonder if for Winamp I need to save positional information for all of the things, but I'm kind of okay for it all to come back. but still be wherever main was. I think that's what's happening. It's like wherever main is. So like if I move these two over here, let's say, and I close it again, I think all three of them will be at the bottom left now. Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. I might eventually fix that to remember the logic of each window, but that's probably actually not as hard as I'm thinking it would be, but one thing at a time, basically. So does that get us? That gets us everything from a positioning point of view. So let's commit that. So Webamp simplified position info. There we go. No, info. What info? Simplified centering position. A simplified positioning, let's just say. Because in general, that logic is more simple now. Okay. So the last thing I have on my list here for tonight is the background logic. So if you see Webamp here is there. Now if we open another window, see it's on top, but then if I click Webamp, you see it's not on top, which is not cool. So it's not respecting things properly there. Another thing too, you see if I click this window, that focused. But if I click this window, nothing visually changed here. So that part's trickier. And we'll get into how I did that. Because, yeah, it's a little trickier because I have to communicate with Webamp and it's the way it wants me to. So first thing I'm going to do, so to get it to work, we're going to have to adjust the window focus command and the z-index commands. So we're going to add those to the dispatch function here, which I had here before. So basically this function here, the webamp.store.dispatch, it can handle other things like set focus or set z-index, and we're going to do those. And I just discovered those from looking at the Webamp code, and I just searched for the word focus because I wanted to focus, and I eventually found in their tests where they used it, and then I just copied that. That's basically how I did it. Okay, so that updates the types. That is like the simplest of the steps. Let me just check out what the next step is. Let's get the commands that I just told you guys about. So if we go into functions, I'm just going to paste them in. I already have them all prepared. Yeah, I'm just going to dump them in here. So these are the three functions I've added: focus window, unfocus, and set z-index. Now, focus window and unfocus do the same store dispatch, but I've decided to have unfocus be its own command because it's kind of secret knowledge that passing a blank window is like unfocusing. And focus window rather than saying just focus, because you can pass a window in this case. So I'm allowing us to be able to say focus the playlist or focus on milk drop. And then z-index is another thing that we have to keep track of. If we look here when Winamp loads and use Winamp, we set z-index at the start. So that's it for that piece. Oh, hopefully you guys, I didn't lose you guys for too long and you guys can see me okay. I'm just doing a little test wave here to make sure that, yeah, okay. My OBS said reconnected successfully, so I don't know if at some point it dropped off and I might have lost you guys for a moment, but hopefully not too long. We're just kind of finishing up on some Webamp stuff just to keep you guys posted. So yeah, we added these three commands: focus, unfocus, and set z-index that we got from Webamp's dispatch. And now we need to use them in the right place. So let's go here. Here it's going to be part of where we're going to need to do it. Actually, let's start with the index here. So what do we need to change? Oh, a bunch of stuff. So first things first, this use Webamp hook. I also need to I need Webamp, the CI part of it. So I'm going to say I also want the Webamp CI to be returned from this hook. And then I'm just going to go do that. So we go into the use Webamp piece here. And where is it here? Load Webamp. Yeah, right before this, we're going to add it. So the Webamp CI, set the Webamp CI. The CI is just the command interface. And we're going to use a state in which we already have the Webamp CI defined somewhere here. Yeah, here it is. So we'll say it could be that, or it could be null. And by default, it's null. There we go. We got to import useState. And now we just need to set this when we're done using it. So we use it here, here, and here, and then we're done. So we'll just kind of pass it off so it's set so that it can be used in other places. And we have to return it along with this. There we go. Oh, alphabetically, that's wrong. That should be right at the back. Let me fix that in everywhere else that I had it wrong. It's just almost nowhere. I had it wrong here. Yeah. Just to try to be alphabetical. I'm the alphabetical police, I guess. There we go. So we export Webamp CI, and it could be the CI or it can be null. We have a state for it, which we set at the end here, and we pass that off. So why is this complaining then? Oh, because I'm not using it yet. Right, okay, that's fair. But this piece is, okay, there's one other piece to this. So for z-index, I don't remember right now. I'm making another comment. I'm gonna paste the new comment here. It basically, I'm changing this from a 1 to a 3 because 3 is the initial, when you first load the app, this is like the first load piece here. When you first load, I want it to be 3, and 3 means it's the most focused window, and a non-focused window is like a 2 on the z-index scale. Now, I thought I had a constant somewhere for this, but I don't think I do. No. At some point, I'll need to get my z-indexes in order, possibly, when it comes to things like this, because I don't know, 3 seems like a magic number. That's why I've added a to-do here, to be like base window plus in focus. Like, is that what this is supposed to be? But for now, you'll have to just trust me that it's a 3, and then we're going to have to think about some better z-index numerical management in the future, because I haven't thought of a perfect way for that yet. Okay, so now we got the CI. So basically, we just have to work here now. It's got to work. So we want to set the foreground state, and we want to know what the foreground state is. So we're going to use that session hook. Use session. And use session has the current foreground ID and the ability to set a new foreground ID. We got that. Now, there's a couple things I want to do here. So here's an easy one we'll add. So when the Webamp first starts, I want a focus on the container that already exists, the div, the main div. I want you to focus on that. That will allow me to be able to know that Webamp is focused right away because I've told it to focus to the element, and then it also allows me to control the unfocus through the unblur option. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to the div here some commands. So I'm going to say, and I have to add the tab index, remember, so that it'll be dynamic. There we go. So now it also says when you focus. So basically when this occurs, so after it loads, it's going to focus, and then on focus of this thing, it's going to set itself as the foreground ID. So that right away on the first start is going to say, hey, it's the foreground ID, which may be redundant perhaps, but it's not redundant for subsequent selections, I think. So I think it makes sense, possibly not on load, but it makes sense for any time after on load. And I could check here to see if I am the foreground ID before I set myself, but it's not a very costly function to run, so I'm just going to let it be. It doesn't like cause a loop or something. And then so once I'm focused on Webamp, if I blur off of it, I want to unset it as the foreground ID. And assuming the CI exists, we want to send the command to unfocus Webamp itself. So basically, I have a div, and I've put Webamp inside it, the library that I have. So when I click on the div, it's now considering that box that holds Webamp to be focused. Now, I don't know if Webamp knows it's focused. I think it does. So when I click off, I don't have a thing in Webamp for Webamp to tell my OS that it's no longer focused. That's why I have to kind of handle focus a little bit myself as well, and kind of juggle it along with Webamp. So we need to import unfocus here, which we have in the functions. Okay, so that was the one effect. Now, the next effect here, I'm just trying to process in my brain. There's not actually too much more left. I have one other effect here that I've written down. This is true. I need to replace that with frame animation. Yeah. So actually, where have I put this in the code? This should be at the bottom. Let's not mess with these hooks though. These are fine. This is the hook to load the thing, to load Webamp. Just minimize this. This is the hook to handle minimize right now until I properly do it with animations, which I've got a to-do for. This is that load one that we had a second ago. And then one other effect that we need is the one to handle foreground events. So for this effect, when the foreground ID changes, that's when we care. So whenever the foreground ID changes, we check, do we have access to the command interface for Webamp? Yes. Is it am I already the foreground? If I am already the foreground, let's flip to the other one first. If I'm not the foreground, then wait. This is interesting logic that I have here because it makes some sense, but I have to explain it to myself and to you at the same time. So let's try to understand this. So I think the reasoning behind this one here is, so you got the div and you have the taskbar entry. Now, how does that work? Because, so if you click the taskbar entry, it will set Winamp as the foreground item, but it won't know that it's not focused. You know what I mean? So we don't need to, so when you, yeah. Basically the logic of this is that the foreground ID changed because you clicked the taskbar entry. In this case, you click the taskbar entry, the foreground ID changed. It is your ID now. Now the thing I'm checking for here is to see if the Winamp container is also where the clicked element was. And if it's not, then I also need to focus. So if you click the taskbar entry, which is outside of that container, then I need to do a little extra work. What I need to do is I need to say, don't focus on the taskbar entry, focus back on Winamp, the element, and focus on Winamp here. And I don't know if the order matters too much here. But the reason I do the focus piece is just saying focus on my container doesn't allow Winamp to do that cool little thing it does where the title bar of Winamp changes. Because that's like Winamp internal logic. But here I'm doing it by doing that focus window dispatch store command. And then regardless if it's taskbar entry or not, if foreground ID changed and I am the foreground ID, then we update the z-index to be 3. Otherwise, it's 1. Now, I don't know what 2 is. That's why things are confusing to me. There's a 1 and a 3, but I'm confused on what 2 is. I'm not completely sure, to be honest, but for now, this is the z-index logic that makes sense. Let's just save that and see if was there any other piece. I think that's it, honestly. So let's check it out. So now if we refresh here, so we open Winamp. Actually, let's clear the site data too. So Winamp starts at the center again. So there we go. So we got Winamp and now we open a folder. So the folder's in front now. Now, oops, I maximized it there. So if I click Winamp, there we go. Now Winamp's in the front. I click the folder, it's in the front. Now another trick here, I click Winamp and there's something in my logic, I think here. If we go back to the code, where is it here? For this piece here. Okay, right. So if it's the foreground ID, I do these things, but this isn't just an else, it's a specific else. So if it's an else where there is another foreground ID, then I say, push me to the back. Now the reasoning for that is that if I click here, if I'm on Winamp and I were to click the desktop, then I'm essentially setting the foreground ID to nothing. And if then Winamp went down to 1, it actually goes behind Explorer. So I don't want that. So when I'm focused here and I click off, there we go. So you see Winamp, the color changes to say I'm no longer focused, but it didn't move behind anything. Whereas if I'm focused here and I click here, that actually moved it back. Because if this stayed at z-index 3, these would have been overlapping and it probably wouldn't have worked the way we'd expected. So now we have it there. And now as another test, after I'm unfocused, you see nothing's focused here. Now if I click there we go. Now it focused again. And if I click off, it unfocused. So clicking here, it knew to focus up there. Because when I click here, I'm unblurring and I'm getting the unblur action that I'd expect from Winamp. So that worked the way I wanted. So I click here, I can click there, And yeah, now I'm managing focus between the apps, and it looks seamless enough. And there was another piece too that I had where when you clicked here, and if I clicked here, it was always focusing on main. So I had to, what did I do to handle that? Here it focuses main. Right, that was this scenario, I think, was when I click and I'm clicking into Winamp already, then don't worry about focusing because I've already clicked inside the container and I know which window I clicked. So maybe I didn't click main. Whereas if you start from the taskbar, just assume you're highlighting main. But if you're coming in from here and I click playlist first, you see playlist colors now, or milk drop. But if I click out and then I click the taskbar, main colors. So that was, I think, my logic for figuring this out. So we had to add the dispatch commands to allow Winamp to do a little bit of work. We added the ability to set the foreground IDs. We do the focusing now, and we manage focus and z-index and foreground ID, basically for Winamp. We updated the types in a slight way, and we also passed the CI along, so we can do things outside of this use Webamp hook with Webamp involving store dispatch. And we still need to do some constant work here in the near future. Okay, so Winamp foreground / background logic. There we go, and we ended up being 3 hours again, even though this list was small, I thought. We're not at 3 hours yet, but that was the end of that. That was the last piece, I think. Let's just quickly look at the code here. So we just did that, and yeah, we just did all the code that I had for us to do today. And now we have right-click menus. Now Winamp centers the way we want. We can focus and unfocus the way we want, and it's just a good boy now. It behaves the way you'd expect it to, which is nice. And that's it. So yeah, that's it for this stream, guys. For the next one, we'll possibly do some of that stuff I mentioned and maybe some other stuff. I don't know what we'll end up doing. We're going to get that start menu out eventually, but I'm having fun with context menus now, so let's see how far that goes. We still need the menu bar. We still need some key components, you know. We're 30% of the way there, I'd say. I don't know. Maybe we're 40% if I'm being optimistic, but we got a long way to go, and I appreciate you guys being with me today. Throw me a like if you liked it. Throw me a subscribe. It's a motivator. It helps me. It's just a good time all around. I'm happy to be doing it, and I'm happy that you guys are liking it. So please support me by following me here and keeping up on what's going on. Other than that, have a good one. Thank you. See you guys.